Hello there.
Hello there.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote. This is the weekly show where we introduce you to some of the best creators from all over the world, and we find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Master Jedi Ryan of And I Quote channel, and our guest on this episode is someone who is no stranger to a galaxy far, far away, no stranger to collecting stuff that may involve a war in the stars. Maybe she's got a few lightsabers laying around. Maybe if someone gets in her way, she may have to pull out the double-bladed lightsaber and pull a Darth Maul on somebody. I don't know. But please welcome, join us all the way from North Carolina, USA, Pal, aka the Padalorian, is finally here. She's in the building. Hello, Pal. How are you?
I'm doing so well, Ryan. Thank you so much for that introduction. That was so great.
Well, you know, I in the words of our good friend Jimmy Bond, 007, we aim to please. So, you know, it's more than happy to do so. But for those of you just joining us or watching this live on the replay, thank you for doing that. Do not forget to like and share with all of your closest frenemies or friends or Jedis or Sith, and let them know that there's some really good stuff going on in the Quote channel, despite the fact that Revenge of the Sith just re-released in theaters for its 20th anniversary, which is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It's been 20 years. I can't believe how old I'm getting. But if you have any questions for Pal, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat rooms. More than happy to take those as they come in, respectively. With that out of the way, before we get to the giant, not so big time elephant in the room, which is Star Wars, before we get to that, I'm just curious. Pal, what were some of your favorite movies or TV series growing up that didn't involve Star and Wars in the same sentence?
Oh no, I definitely have them. Like, I know that I make Star Wars my personality, but I am a fandom geek through and through. And so I personally have, my favorite movies that don't involve Star Wars. When I was a kid, I especially enjoy watching Disney movies. I was a 90s kid, so I lived and grew up throughout the Disney Renaissance. I definitely, my particular favorite movie from the Disney Renaissance is Beauty and the Beast. That was a movie that truly, it shaped the person who I am today. Like, I know Star Wars is a big part of my story, but Beauty and the Beast is another movie that really shaped me into the person that I am today. I also went through a bit of a horse girl phase before, before being in my Star Wars era. I was a bit of a horse girl too. And a movie that I really enjoyed when I was a little kid was Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. And so that was like another movie that really shaped me. Like, I know that I'm not big into I'm not much of a horse girl anymore, but that was actually a movie that really blossomed my love of animals and what really encouraged me to pursue, a college career in animal science. And so, that's another movie that really shaped me to be the person I am today as well. And I'm trying to think. Oh, and then when I was actually when I was in college, that was actually the first time I ever watched the Harry Potter films. And those are I'm a big Potterhead too. And I can't believe that I missed out on it when I was a kid. I never read the books. I only watched the movies, and but I think that they're incredible. So I would say that I'm Disney gal. I love Harry Potter films, and then of course I gotta have my Star Wars.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all, those of us who are 90s kids, I grew up in the Renaissance as well. I watched Beauty and the Beast numerous times. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Belle and Gaston voice actors from the original film.
That's so cool. A couple of years ago, I got to meet Paige O'Hara, the voice of Belle, and that was, I'm pretty sure that was the first celebrity I've actually ever met at a convention. And that was back when I was really deep into my Beauty and the Beast phase. And I can't tell you how much that interaction meant to me at the time. She was the sweetest person. And the thing is, at the time I was about to get married when the live action version of Beauty and the Beast was about to come out. And I had sent her a wedding invitation just because I know that's something that you do with celebrities. You never know if they'll say yes or no, or might send you something. And she actually mailed back the invitation with her autograph. And that was, really, really cool. But yeah, Paige O'Hara, she's a gem. national treasure, protect her at all costs. And I'm so thankful that I got to meet her, at the time when I did.
Yeah, when I met both her and I forget gosh, why am I blanking on the name, the gentleman who voiced Gaston? But both actors, when I met him, I said, "Can you sign it this way? Can you sign it that?" Because I got an 8 by 10 from Gaston, and I had him sign it. How can you read this? There's no pictures. And then Paige signed her part of it. Well, some people use their imagination. I'm like, it's great.
I love it. No,
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. And now that I've become such a big reader, because years ago I would have said, "Oh, it's better to read comic books. Comic books have panels in them. They have pictures and whatnot." But now I'm kind of like, well, you can kind of have the best of both worlds. You can be like Gaston and read comic books, and then you could be like Belle and read books with words on a page, because you still get the same entertainment value from either pieces of media. So check that out, folks. It never hurt anybody. But yeah, they're very nice people. They're great, for sure. So
no, there was a time when I started my fandom account. This bookshelf wasn't all Star Wars. There was a bit of a Beauty and the Beast section, because that was my other favorite a fandom that I really identify with. And so right now there's a bookshelf outside of this room where I display that collection now. But I do have a bit of a little Beauty and the Beast collection that I still display, just not here anymore, because this is officially dedicated to all things Star Wars.
Interesting. So so half your room is covered in galaxies far, far away, and then the other half is kind of like the library that the Beast passes on to Belle by saying, "It's a surprise."
Yeah, it really is.
Open your eyes.
Oh, I love that scene. That scene is just magical.
It's wall to wall books. Don't we all imagine that we can get ourselves a huge library and just stay in there for years, if not decades on end, just reading?
Oh, absolutely. That's the dream.
I mean, I wish I could, because all we gotta do, folks, is take a look. It's in a book.
Mm-hmm.
What I did there? It's great. Yeah. Who doesn't love a good episode of Reading Rainbow on a Saturday morning? Honestly. And LeVar Burton's a nice guy too. I had the pleasure of meeting him. He was very nice.
Yeah, he's been attending a few conventions. I never got the chance to meet him, but it's so cool that the PBS kids. I grew up watching PBS Kids too. I feel like I don't. Steve Burns is another. Well, he's not PBS Kids, but
he was Nickelodeon, but yes.
Yeah, those kinds of shows that we watched as kids. Now they're actually coming out to conventions, and it's just so cool to relive our childhood in that manner, because we never really noticed how much these shows and these characters formed our childhood until now that we're grown adults, and we can look back and just reflect on this time so fondly. And now we get the chance to thank these people for just being there for us as kids. It's just so cool.
Very true, very true. So outside of the because you mentioned the Harry Potter series, by the way, what house are you in?
I am a proud Hufflepuff.
Oh, really? I'm the flip side of that. Well, I'm not a Slytherin, but I am a Gryffindor.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm the Boy Scout. So they just wrote me into the Gryffindors. I'm like, great. You're not a Slytherin, eh? You could be great.
Yeah.
But let's put you in Gryffindor. As the Sorting Hat likes to say.
No, I'm a Hufflepuff through and through.
Okay.
I would love to be I aspire to be a Gryffindor, but no, my personality is very much a Hufflepuff one.
And how good are you at Quidditch?
I don't. I am not competitive either. I think the idea is fun, and I played Hogwarts Legacy, and it's so fun to fly around in a broom. I don't think I would be actually good in the Quidditch team. I definitely wouldn't be good, with the bludgers, and that would scare me. If you've seen the Chamber of Secrets film, the scene where Harry Potter literally has his arm broken, I'm just nope, not for me. I'll be a spectator. I will be a cheerleader. I'll be like Luna Lovegood with her Gryffindor hat, the lion. I'll be cheering from the sidelines, and I'll just fly around on a broom for fun. Yeah.
Understandably so. Abby says hello there. Hello, Abby. Good to see you.
So good to see you.
Friend of yours, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we follow each other on Instagram. It's good to see familiar face for sure.
Good to see you, Abby. Listen, if you took the quiz like we all did on social media, and you know what house you're in from the Harry Potter franchise, let us know what house you're in, Abby. Be curious to hear your 2 cents. But outside of Harry Potter, when did you first experience something? I'm trying to think. What's the name of this property? I'm trying to think. What's it called again? When did you first? When did you first experience the galaxy far, far away? Where and when did it all start with Star Wars for you?
Yeah. So for me personally, it has always been a family thing. My dad grew up watching Star Wars. Like he was, a kid when the original trilogy came out, and he watched all the movies in the theater. He had the toys, the action figures. Yeah, yeah, it's always been a part of his childhood. And when we were old enough, well, actually, so like when we were, I think I was like about 5 years old when the Phantom Menace came out. That was my introduction to Star Wars, was watching the prequel trilogy. And so even though I don't remember watching the Phantom Menace in theaters, I believe the very first Star Wars film I watched in theaters was Attack of the Clones. I remember that very vividly. And yeah, I feel like ever since the prequels came out, I have always been a prequels girly through and through. Not, obviously the original trilogy is how it all started, and it's so important to the Star Wars franchise. But like for me, I've always identified with characters like young Anakin Skywalker and young Obi-Wan and Padme, and I also just I just identify and relate to those characters so much. And I think it's so great that no matter what era of Star Wars you were introduced to, if you can just connect with these characters, that's something that no one can take away from you. Whether you're more into the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the animation era, Disney Plus era, there's something there for everyone. And for me, that was just my introduction to Star Wars, was with the prequel movies. And yeah, I think ever since, I've always been a Star Wars fan, but it didn't really elevate to the point where it got to today until the Mandalorian series came out on Disney Plus. That was I remember that, obviously the Mandalorian came out right when the sequel trilogy finished up. And I personally did not really connect with the sequel trilogy as much as I did with the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. So as a Star Wars fan, I've kind of felt deflated. And when the Mandalorian came out, that was when my love for Star Wars kind of revived a bit. I was really excited to see something new and fresh in this, huge galactic universe. And it was actually, shows like The Mandalorian, shows like the Book of Boba Fett, that actually motivated me to finally watch the Clone Wars for the first time. And I felt like, there was a time before Clone Wars and a time after Clone Wars. I was just a changed person ever since. And that, led me right into watching Star Wars Rebels. And that is what I consider probably my favorite Star Wars show of all time. That really just Clone Wars and then Rebels together just made me appreciate Star Wars so much more, because they were able to explore these characters and explore these story arcs that we've all seen and are familiar with from the movies, but they got to expand it so much more and made you appreciate these characters and stories even more. And I feel like even though I love the prequel trilogy, I think it was the animation era of Star Wars and Lucasfilm animation that really made me the Star Wars fan that I am today, the Star Wars fan that you see me, posting on Instagram, and that's what made me love Star Wars to the level that I love it now. So,
So in other words,
this is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
I love it. Yes, this is the way. I have my Mando helmet right up there. I don't think you can really see it, but here's where I have my little bit of Mando collection over here, and then a little bit of Mando artwork. I have to, dedicate some space in this room for the Mandalorian, because it was a big part of my Star Wars revival era, if you want to call it that.
Oh yeah, it took Star Wars in a new direction that we've never even seen before, because we never see the criminal underworld, we never see the bounty hunters doing their thing, we never got a chance to see how messed up Jabba's palace really is with all those characters that like to walk around, conducting illegal and not so maybe illegal business. I don't know. It's probably all illegal tender there, fellas. But watch where you step, watch where you sit too, because otherwise Han may shoot you first. But no, honestly, I dig it. I get it. I know the sequel trilogy didn't whet a lot of people's appetite. I get it. I mean, Force Awakens to me is still a badass film, and made me an uber Star Wars fan. Because for everybody, a different, everybody becomes a Star Wars fan in their own way, right? So, good points about prequel trilogy. For me, my favorite moment of the prequel trilogy was the triple threat or handicap match between Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. That's one of the best scenes/sequences, and it's probably the best lightsaber duel we're ever going to have in Star Wars. A 2-on-1 handicap match between a Sith and
Right.
two Jedi. That's something that's never likely to happen again. But respect that. OG trilogy, of course. Can't have anything without the OG recipe, right, folks? You can't have anything without the OG recipe. And then yeah, Mandalorian just kind of like accelerated. It took Star Wars in a new direction that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have done a pretty darn good job with. I mean, I know some people said to me they didn't like season 3 of Mandalorian, but I don't know what you were drinking that day, because seasons 1, 2, and 3 are really, really good in their own way. I mean, they can stand alone or become part of a bigger story, because you get Cara Dune thrown into the mix, you get familiar faces thrown into the mix with Boba Fett coming in, saving the day at the midway point of certain seasons, be like, hey, I'm back. I didn't die in the Sarlacc pit. I'm back. I'm not dead. And then
Right.
you get its own spin-off show, which wasn't great, but it was fine. I mean, it had its moments for sure, but ebbs and flows, people, peaks and valleys. But yeah, Mandalorian is the best thing to come out of Star Wars. For me, it's the best thing that we've gotten from Star Wars since 2016's Rogue One. So
Absolutely.
for me, Rogue One's the best prequel of the whole 9. I mean, nothing against the prequel trilogy. I know it has its own dedicated fan base, but for me, prequel trilogy doesn't really do me any favors. But Rogue One was great. So,
Well, it's so great. And I love that now we're obviously like Andor season 2 came out, and it's just, I would say that even though The Mandalorian is, my favorite, I think one of the best things that come out of the Disney era of Star Wars, or like I should say the Disney Plus era of Star Wars, Rogue One and Andor especially, as someone who also loves movies, like I consider myself a cinephile. I just think the Rogue One and Andor are without a doubt the best, like, objectively, subjectively, all the things. Like, it's like the best Star Wars that I think has ever come out of the franchise. It's just something unlike anything we have seen before. Obviously, it has those elements that we are familiar with in the world of Star Wars, but just like the storytelling, these character arcs, the stakes, the visuals, everything about it, the music, it's just it's just not anything like we've seen in Star Wars so far, and I definitely appreciate it for that aspect. And so I love that we're getting the season 2, and even though it is the final season, we're not going to get anything else. It's going to lead to the events that we see in Rogue One, and I'm excited to see all those pieces just like patched up together. And as soon as we're done with like the series finale of Andor, we can like immediately go into Rogue One. And I just I love that Tony Gilroy is giving that to us Star Wars fans, because even though he would have loved to have given us like 5 seasons of Andor, if we only get 2, you know what, just like have at it, go wild and nuts. And so for with these first 3 episodes, I'm invested. I can't wait to see how it pans out. And yeah, I think right now is such a great time to be a Star Wars fan.
Well, that's very true. Not going to argue that point. Once again, we are here with the guest of honor, Pal, the Padalorian on, and I quote, do not forget to like and share. And if you're joining us live on the replay, hello there. And if you have any see, I got to drop it. If you have any questions for, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. We got some chatter here, so let's bring these up. Dutch Star Wars guy, also known as Case, our good friend who puts together the backgrounds, the overlays, the intros. He says, I can't really join the show much right now at this time, but I just wanted to say that my favorite Star Wars Lego set is the Ultimate Collector Star Destroyer from the year 2019 AD, not BC. And I will be getting Django's Slave 1 on May the 4th be with you coming up next weekend.
Very cool.
So
That's awesome. I just got into Lego Star Wars last year, but I feel like I've learned so much about this hobby. I've learned so much about all the sets that have been released in the last 25 years, and I think that Star Destroyer is iconic. I've seen it in videos and pictures. I don't think I've actually seen it in person, and it's just like, it's massive. It's a massive feat, and I can't believe Lego was able to pull off something like that. You getting the Django Slave 1 is, I think, like, you can't go wrong. I really do believe it's going to be one of the best UCS sets to come out of the Lego Star Wars theme. I've seen reviews about it. I can't wait to see it in person at the Lego store when I go shop there next week too. And yeah, I just feel like, again, I mentioned that I'm a prequels girly, and I feel like between Boba Fett's or Jango Fett's Slave 1, I think I prefer Jango Fett's more, just also because of the colors. I love the blue and the green and the yellow and the silver all together. I just think it looks like, visually, it looks so beautiful. But yeah, I'm excited for you to get that set. I'm excited for you to build it. And, from what I've heard, like the techniques that they use into that set are really, really cool. And yeah, I think it will be a good investment. I know it's like a bit pricey for a May the 4th set to be released at the Lego store, but from what I've seen, I don't think you're going to be disappointed.
Don't think so either. So, well done, Legos. You're taking all our money and building more Lego bricks.
I
Because
know.
because in the words of our good friends at Lego, right? Because we remember the song that we heard when we were a bit younger from Lego. Everything is awesome. So
It's so
everything is cool
true.
when you're part of a team, though, pal. So let's not forget about teamwork makes the dream work. But
Absolutely.
let me see. Abby says I agree that Rebels is my favorite of the series too. The characters and the character arcs are just so compelling.
They are, and I think that's the reason why, like, I think Clone Wars is still like, I feel I switched between two, between Clone Wars and Rebels being my favorite shows to come out of Star Wars, but I think that Rebels is just that the story of a found family, the story of like the Rebel Alliance, just like starting from nothing, and then like as the seasons go through, like you see like how they built up to what they are, and what we see in the original trilogy. I think that's so inspiring. The message, the themes, the lessons that you learn along the way. Each character goes through like their own compelling story arc, and I feel like everyone identifies in some way with each of these characters, right? And yeah, and I also feel like I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it yet, but there are moments in the show that just really, they're so gripping, they're so heartbreaking, they're so it really tore my heart apart. And I just feel like I never experienced anything like that before with Star Wars. Like I feel like Clone Wars, especially during the last season of the show, there were definitely moments in there that were just equally as emotional and heartbreaking. But there was just something about Rebels where I don't know. I like if I think about a certain character, I will start crying. I'll start tearing up because like that's just how much these characters mean to me, how much the story means to me. And that's why I dedicated like a whole shelf just for Star Wars Rebels. Like I have one for Clone Wars too, but my Rebel shelf is definitely one that I proudly display because yeah, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for these two shows, but especially Rebels. So I definitely have to, show my love for the show.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, folks, let's be honest. Pal and everyone else we've had on this show in the past several weeks, months, if not years, have better backgrounds than me. I'm just a simple man trying to make his way in the universe. I have a bookshelf full of TBR books because my TBR list is out of control. It's terrible. It's awful. It's just it's not good. But hey, we do our best to display some books here that you may want to check out. I mean, for example, we got Thrawn written by Timothy Zahn. We got Rebel Rising written by Beth. What is it? Beth Revis. Beth Revis.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're into the Rogue One slash what do you call it Rebels timeline, read these two. You may get something out of it. I'm not sure. And by the way, Abby says your shelf display is life goals. Yeah, for me, I wish I could have shelves that look ridiculously good looking as people like Pal or Angel, also known as Nerdy Girl 501st on Instagram. I don't know if you know who Angel is, Pal, but she's got a really good display. Ashley, our good friend Ashley does. I mean, goodness gracious, everyone who's an SW, which stands for Star Wars, keeping up with the acronyms. If you're a fan, you got way better shelf and way bigger space than I do because I'm just a simple man, Pal. I'm just a simple man. But
No, it's so funny that I obviously, I appreciate those kind comments because I really do put a lot of work into my display. I think that, when I first started my fandom account, it all started with me just being a follower of all these other fandom accounts, whether it's like Funko Pops, whether it was Lego, whether it was like, the Star Wars fandom or the Harry Potter fandom or MCU fandom. Like I started out as a follower, just like a ghost follower, just following along, I'll like the post here and there. But I was so inspired by everyone's displays, everyone's collections. I started off very small. I started with just like 2 Funko Pops. I had a couple of, reference books, and that was pretty much it. And that was, just 3 years ago. So, it definitely took a lot of time, a lot of effort. Obviously, I had to invest in this collection too. But the thing is, it's so funny because I am more of a minimalist person. Like outside of this room, there really isn't that much else outside of my home. I prefer to keep things nice and simple. But this is truly where like my maximalist personality comes out when it comes to my collection, because I just feel like it's hard for me to pick a favorite. I have to find a spot for it somewhere on the shelf, and I also like try to organize it with like different eras of Star Wars, different shows. Down below here you can't really see it, but this is down. This shelf is where I have like my prequels in original trilogy Funko Pops and Lego. Because I have to make sure that even though like these two shows are currently everything that has like taken up my brain, I wanted also have a moment for like the prequel and original trilogy as well. But yeah, the thing is, it's like I see it and sometimes I wonder, is it too much? Like I feel like maybe I need to take out some things and just simplify it a little bit more. But I think it's okay. I try to do my best to keep it organized, but at the same time, not shy away from having everything out if I can. But it's gotten to that point where I might need another bookshelf. I think I'm gonna have to start rearranging the Star Wars room a bit and just allow the collection to grow.
Nothing wrong with that. Getting things reorganized, putting things where they need to go respectively, or putting
Yeah.
things in boxes, storage space, whatever. Because at the end of the day, when we all have a display that's good looking as this, I mean, all we can really do is.
Yes! That's awesome!
I mean, it's just awesome. It just is. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind as we go along here. Once again, this is the episode where the Padalorian outclasses and outcollects everyone here at Anti-Quote Studios with Ryan, your host. Don't forget to like and share this with everybody. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. If you're joining us live on the replay, hello there. Good to see you. Hope everything is well. You mentioned something about MCU, so I'm just curious. Favorite MCU characters?
So, oh man, I think this is probably like I might just start tearing up thinking about it. But honestly, Black Panther, T'Challa, I feel like especially after the very sudden passing of Chadwick Boseman, I really look at that character very fondly. I look at the movies very fondly. I feel like I can't really watch them without crying, because I don't think that I was ever shaken up with like a celebrity passing like Chadwick Boseman. And so he's personally one of my favorites, Black Panther. And I feel like in the new era of the MCU, I really enjoyed Shang-Chi. Like that movie was really phenomenal. It was fun. The stunts that were in that movie were just insane. The characters were just so great. Simu Liu as a character, like just as a person, seems like Marvel just got such a good one, because he just seems like such an awesome person. And I'm trying to think like of like let me like think back to like the original Avengers crew. I think I mentioned Black Panther, even though he's technically not an Avenger, but I think in that Avengers group, I don't know. I feel like during the movie Civil War, I was more on Captain America's side. And when the whole Infinity War and Endgame movies were coming out, I was like very much in the camp of like, oh my gosh, something is gonna happen to Captain America. He's the one who's gonna, like, if anything happens to anyone, it's gonna be Captain America. Like he's the one who's gonna die. He's the one who's gonna yeah. And so I think like I really appreciate like Steve Rogers as a person, and like what he does to what he resembles in the Avengers movies. I think like I'm just like a kind of person that appreciates someone who's just good, someone who's just a good person, and he's someone who is genuinely a good person. And even though we see these characters just butt heads, they don't see eye to eye, they don't agree with everything. I really do trust his intentions as a superhero, as a Marvel character. And even though now Captain America has moved on to a different person, I still look very fondly to those stories that we got to watch in the MCU movies.
Understandably so. I get that. I mean, and if there's anything we've learned over the last many years with the MCU is that Captain America has the best sequels. I mean, Captain America: Winter Soldier
Oh,
is one of the greatest
absolutely.
of all,
Yeah.
one of the goats, and then Captain America: Civil War shows you how different that their belief systems are between Team Iron Man, Team Cap. By the way, hashtag I was always Team Cap, so get out of my face with Team Iron Man. He loses.
Yeah.
He's a loser. But
Honestly, like Civil War, like I forget that that is technically a Captain America sequel
it is.
and not an Avengers, like another Avengers.
No,
movie.
it is too, because it's Avengers
You know what I
2.5.
mean? That's what it feels like. You know, I
Yeah.
forget that's technically a Captain America, like the third one,
Yeah,
but it
standalone,
feels
yeah.
so much like an Avengers movie because that's when everyone comes together. That's why. Oh yeah, you know what? I forgot about Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man, but the thing is, again going back to the fact that I was like a '90s kid. I grew up with Tobey Maguire being my Spider-Man, and I love his version of Spider-Man. I love those movies. Like Sam Raimi did something with those movies, man. Like to this day, I still defend those movies. I still defend Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. And even though Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, they're so great, love them, especially with what we saw in Spider-Man No Way Home. Iconic movie, fantastic. Tobey Maguire is still my favorite. Yes, I love it. I don't think, the MCU probably wouldn't be where it's at without these movies. I think that this redefined the superhero genre of films. And it's all because of Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
And let's certainly not forget the other two things that are a factor in this, especially within the first, what do you call it, the first movie, Spider-Man from 2002, which is so long ago. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's so crazy.
We're getting way too young for this show business, kids. But let's not forget the upside down kiss that a lot of people wanted to emulate in their romantic relationships when that movie came out. Because my God, you got more guts than brains being upside down in the middle of a rainstorm, making out with the most beautiful woman in the world at that time. And I'm talking to you, Kirsten Dunst, because you know who you are.
Yes, she's so beautiful.
All the dudes wish we could have been there when they were filming that scene, brother. And then door number 2 is, and they say that a hero could save us. Let's not forget about
I love that song.
and Josie Scott, pal. Let's not forget about Hero, that iconic theme song from Spider-Man 1.
Perfection.
It
I
is,
love it.
and it's funny because there's an MCU character that mentions that word in X-Men First Class. Magneto looking at Mystique. Perfection.
Yeah, perfect.
Don't
That's
forget
how I
about
feel
that. Don't forget about
with these
X-Men.
movies. That's how I feel
Exactly.
about these Spider-Man movies.
Well, there you go. And
Yeah.
but by the way, this is they repackaged it when they re-released it on DVD. Look at that. That's a really good looking DVD packaging right there. That's pretty cool.
I love it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I know that this technically isn't in like the Disney MCU
Mhm.
lineup of movies, but I have to, give a shout out to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies and Tobey Maguire's, version of Spider-Man because that is, I think like that's how I got into superhero movies because of those. So yeah.
Did you also watch the X-Men movies when they were coming out in the early 2000s
Yeah.
alongside Spider-Man?
I watched the first one, but for some reason I never like I feel so bad. Like, I'm a fandom geek through and through, but like there are still some movies I have not finished watching or even, got to experience for the first time. And the X-Men movies would be those movies, even though I have been spoiled with what happens in the third one. And so like I know that a certain character dies and it's like a big deal. But other than that, like I only have seen the first X-Men movie. I don't think I've ever seen the second one. And but what I will say is even though I didn't watch that original set of movies with like Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, I have seen the X-Men First Class lineup of movies, and so I really enjoyed those movies. I really enjoyed seeing like the younger versions of these superheroes and villains, and it was just really cool to see like how it all got started. So even though I definitely need to rewatch like the original X-Men movies, I really I enjoyed watching like the X-Men First Class and like the James McAvoy and Michael, what's his name? But the younger version of Magneto, those characters were, it was just so cool to see like everyone's origin story, if you want to say that. Oh yeah, having that whole lineup is just insane. And I think this was still like before the Disney era of in the MCU. And so I know that now, like with the Avengers Doomsday movie, like we're kind of, adding back all these characters and these storylines and like kind of incorporating it with like the Disney era of the MCU. And I'm that's why I'm so excited for the upcoming Doomsday movie because it's just going to be nuts to see all these characters together on the big screen.
piece of homework you're going to have to do when we get off this show. You got to go back and watch X-Men 2000. You got to go back and watch X2, X-Men United. Then you got to watch X-Men First Class. You certainly, in any way, shape, or form, if there's any X-Men movie in this earth that you need to watch, it's X-Men Days of Future Past, because that movie is a masterpiece in so many different ways, and it's the best, and I mean the absolute best and the absolute greatest X-Men movie we're ever going to get in the history of filmmaking. And I'll tell you why. Kevin Feige, I know you're watching this. You can throw in all these cameos, you can throw in the original characters, you can throw in the original actors reprising these roles of these characters that we got when we were itty bitty little kids / teenagers with attitude, go Power Rangers, but you can't, and The Rock means can't get any better than Days of Future Past. You just cannot, on any way, shape, or form. You can try. You can absolutely try. But in the words of, I'm trying to think who said it first. I'm trying to think of who said this. You could, well, you know what? Just pull a Thanos. In time, you'll know what it's like to lose, to feel so desperately that you're right, yet to fail all the same. So
Past was a great movie.
It's the best of all time. It's the best of all time. Nothing is going to top that.
And it was like, in a way, our first introduction to like the multiverse, like all these different timelines and all these different like old and like the characters just coming together in one film like that was insane. And I believe I watched that movie in the theaters too. And so that was an even cooler experience to see that on the big screen. And yeah, you're right. I think that's where like the X-Men peak, I really, really enjoyed what they did there with that movie.
People have said over the years that the best X-Men movie is either X2 or First Class. And listen, those two films are excellent. There's no question. By the way, excellent. See what I did there?
Yeah, love it.
They're both excellent, right? See what I did? Yeah. But they don't hold a candle to DFOP, which stands for Days of Future Past. Keep up with the acronyms, folks. People use them on cinematic chat boards all the time. But yeah, no, and here's the thing too, and not a lot of people talk about this on social media. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But when a trailer is so good that the movie itself lives up to that trailer, if not surpasses it, is extremely rare in cinematic history. And when I saw, and you and I were both there, right? We were all there sitting in the theater when we saw the teaser trailer 2, trailer 3, whatever it was, for Days of Future Past, right? We thought to ourselves, okay, but can this movie really be that good? Can they make the movie this good as this trailer is? And when I walked out of the theater back in 2014, # those are the facts, I thought, this is one of the greatest pieces of cinema I've ever seen. And I was getting teary-eyed at certain scenes. It hits you so hard. And James McAvoy and Xavier crossing the streams there, and that iconic scene that you can see, it's on social media. It's not necessarily, plus the movie's been out for 15 years, folks. Get with it. But watch that scene between McAvoy and Stewart, because I'm telling you, you can't get any better than that. You just can't. No. There's nothing. There's nothing. So listen, Kevin, good luck to you. I hope, I wish you guys and the crew the best over there, because you already announced who's going to be in it, which you shouldn't have done, by the way.
The way they did it,
they literally revealed all 65 names of all 70 cast members. And I'm like, why would you do that? You're ruining the shadow. You're ruining the mystique.
Yeah.
There's an X-Men reference.
You're
ruining the there's no surprises in filmmaking anymore. There are no surprises. Everything gets revealed to the public, including Pal and myself, weeks, months, if not a year before the film even comes out. And we think to ourselves, why would we spend $25 on a movie ticket, a bucket of popcorn, and a soda when this thing is going to drop on streaming 2 months later?
Yeah.
And then we just watch it for free.
It's also just like the culture of social media. I feel like leaks and I feel like that. I feel whether it's because Lego also has their problems with leaks, whether it's movies, video games, products, whatever. I just think leaks is a big problem, and maybe that's why they felt like I'm not in the marketing team. This is just me speculating, but I would assume that they wanted to get ahead of people trying to leak the casting. And they thought that this would be such a cool way to reveal all like you said, 65 plus people that are going to be in this movie. But the way that they did it was just so confusing, because it was like I think it was like almost 6 hours of just like revealing the chair, like throughout that time frame. And like once they got to like the X-Men portion, a lot of people started talking and a lot of people started getting excited about what's to come for Doomsday, because it seems like it's going to be like an Avengers versus X-Men type plot line. And I'm not into the MCU comics. I don't read them, so I don't really know what I'm talking about here. But just as a viewer, I'm like, yeah, it kind of seems like they're going to be butting heads there in the next movie. But the way that they did it, I understand. Like, there's just no element of surprise anymore, because I feel like when No Way Home came out a couple of years ago now, that was just like the way that they were able to pull it off, like able to pull off such a surprise of having Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. I just don't think that that can't be recreated anymore. It was just like a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity. And yeah, like I have a feeling that what we saw with Doomsday, with that casting reveal, I don't think they showed everybody. Like, I think we're still gonna get like our some cameo appearances of certain characters, and maybe it won't be in Doomsday. Maybe it'll be in the I believe it's like Secret Wars, right? It'll be like in the next Avengers movie. Yeah, but I don't know. It's kind of nice because now you don't have to worry about spoiling anything, because hey, the MC already did it for you. But I just hope that there is still an element of surprise somewhere along the way, because if they did just reveal everybody, then what is all this for? Then I guess we're kind of already knowing what to expect. But I don't know. We'll see. They still got to cook, and we got to see what's coming along. And it's next year, right? The movie comes out next year.
I believe so.
I don't know what they got up their sleeves, but I feel like after Endgame and after No Way Home, I'm hoping that it'll be a very similar experience like that, where it's just you have to be in the movie theaters to watch it and to experience with other people around you. We'll see. I'm an optimist, I'm hopeful, but I know that a lot of people were upset with the way that there is just no surprise anymore. We already know what to expect, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, that's fair enough. Fair enough. And once again, we are here with the guest. We are here with the guest of honor, the Pals, aka the Padalorian. Do not forget to like and share if you're joining us live on the replay. Hello there, and if you have any questions, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Because with all the reveals we've gotten recently, with the casting list, the set list, the spoilers, all this other stuff. I mean, honestly,
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
yeah, we're gonna need a much bigger theater and a boat, guys. So strap yourselves in. Yeah. Hashtag Jaws turns 50 this year. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. I know that. So along with like movies and Star Wars and that realm, I also love theme parks. I love following along what's going on at Disney World, Universal, the parks both in like Orlando and in California. And I heard that Universal is going to be doing a whole shebang with Jaws and celebrating its 50th anniversary. And someone who's into movies, I love watching the Oscars. I love following along with the Academy and stuff like that. And the museum, the Academy Museum that's in LA or Hollywood, I can't remember where exactly. But in that museum, they're going to be dedicating like a whole what's it called? Exhibition for Jaws, because that's just you can't really talk about Hollywood, you can't really talk about films without talking about Jaws, because that just like revolutionized the summer blockbuster genre. So even though I'm not big on sharks, I hate sharks. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's because of Jaws that I'm like actually scared of sharks. Not so much like swimming, because I think realistically you're not going to get attacked by a shark, but the look of sharks like has forever traumatized me because of the movie Jaws. So I don't know how much partaking in the celebration I'll be doing. I'll appreciate the film and everything that's done for Hollywood and movies as a whole, but I can't do sharks, unfortunately.
That's all right. Sharks aren't for everybody. For me, the best shark movie to come out since Jaws was The Shallows, Blake Lively. This was long before Blake Lively got caught up with the lawsuit and everything else that's going on.
Oh yeah, everything.
weird, crazy world that I don't even want to begin to dive into. Let's not get started with the Hollywood legal battles. But I will say, Blake, you were great in The Shallows. It's the best shark movie we've gotten since Jaws, at least in my humble professional opinion, because I'm a cinephile like anyone else. So if you're looking for a good shark movie, pal, look up The Shallows. It's pretty good.
I'll do it. I don't know.
It's only an hour and a half. Really short. It's short, sweet, to the point. It's really good. But if it's not your thing, then don't dive into those waters, because we are here at And I Quote Studios. We are going to be doing a 50th anniversary watch along of Jaws.
Very cool.
Yeah, we
That's
actually
gonna
do
be
watch-alongs
awesome.
here on set. Now, for those of you who are wondering when our next few watch-alongs are going to be, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I do know that at the end, I think it's at the end of May, we're going to be doing a 45th anniversary special for The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be so awesome.
So
Oh, I
Pal,
love it.
maybe Pal will want to sit in on that one. I don't know, but we'll have to
I
see. We might have to save you a
don't
seat at the
know.
table to talk about Empire
Mhm.
Strikes, because you like Empire, right? You like Empire Strikes Back?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I feel like not that it's a hot take, but I
No.
prefer more of like the like New Hope in Return of the Jedi more than Empire Strikes Back. I feel like every
Really?
cinephile, yeah,
Hmm.
like I know that a lot of people say that like the Empire Strikes Back
They
is
all
the best
say it's
Star
the
Wars.
GOAT, right? They all
Yeah.
say it's the GOAT.
And I agree, like it is. Like, I don't think we've ever seen a movie like that where like, technically the good guys lost,
Yeah, and we
But
end on a
I don't
cliffhanger.
know.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I don't know. I just like I love A New Hope or Return of the Jedi just a
Yes.
little bit more. But
Okay.
there's something about like, Empire Strikes Back. Like it's just like the tone shift from, A New Hope to the Empire Strikes Back
Hmm.
was just like like it was just iconic at the time. And also like just we got to learn a little bit more about Darth Vader. We got to learn a little bit more about Luke. We got to meet Yoda for the first time, and it's just, it definitely has there's a reason why it's revered as the best Star Wars movie of all time. In my opinion, that title belongs to Revenge of the Sith, which I did watch last night as it was re-released in theaters, and that was so awesome. But no, I would love to join for a watch along for The Empire Strikes Back because I think that is just peak Star Wars to some people. For me, maybe it wasn't like the peak, but I have to pay my respects to a movie like that because I think without the Empire Strikes Back, without the iconic, I am your father moment, we wouldn't be here today. So
Well, that's fair. I understand that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, but yeah, Empire's coming up, I think, at the end of May. We're going to be doing that, folks. And then later on in the year, towards the holiday
very
season in
cool.
December, we'll be celebrating 10 years of The Force Awakens.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
That's like when it comes to the sequel trilogy, that's definitely, in my opinion, my favorite one, but and also like the best one out of the three.
hmm Yeah, well, if that part of it, yeah. I mean, outside of the sequel trilogy, the spin-offs, Rogue One is the best of the bunch.
Yes.
Yeah. See, there's a picture to die for. Look at that. All nine, even though some of these films hashtag to me never happened. But sorry, but I'm a Star Wars fan, but I also know that there's a good side to the Force and there's a bad side. Some things work, some things don't. But it's okay. It's all good. It's all relative.
And that's the thing. It's like what I like to encourage is that, there whatever era or movie or character of Star Wars that most resonates to you, no one can take that away from you. And so even though I personally don't resonate with like the sequel trilogy as much as I do, with the prequel trilogy, I'm not gonna bash anyone for liking the sequel trilogy. Like, I remember what it was like watching those movies for the first time. And I felt something, even though like it didn't stick the landing for me. I can't disregard like the feeling I felt watching, Luke Skywalker on that hill. I can't deny the feeling I felt watching him and Kylo, battle for the last time. And you know what, even like, the Rise of Skywalker, it definitely had like those feel good moments that I can't disregard. I can't ignore that. But I don't know. It's just like, especially with like the fan base, the Star Wars fan base can be so toxic and can be such
Yes.
a hard place to be in. And I feel like, in the last few years, like it's only gotten worse and worse. I try to like do my part of being that Star Wars fan where, hey, look, I love, my certain eras of Star Wars, and like it's so crazy because there's so people to this day that will still bash on like the prequels. They'll still like, not really say good things about like even the animation versions of Star Wars. And it's just like, I don't know. I just wish that people can understand that it's okay that, one era of Star Wars isn't your thing, that's totally fine. No one is going to take that away from you. And it's okay. There's a place for all of us in this fan base. And especially with like, the Disney Plus era of Star Wars, where some of the shows hit really well and then others they just didn't stick the landing. And it's okay to like, just watch it, not like it, and just leave it there. Like it's not going to mess up any of your own headcanon of certain characters or or storylines. And I don't know, like I just pay attention to what I like, you know, and I don't try to use too much of my energy being just negative all the time and just bashing on people and because I just feel like that's just so exhausting. So like, why don't I just like use my time and energy and like what I do enjoy about Star Wars and just leave it like and just leave it there, you know? And I just feel like the fan base would be at a much better place if we can just all just accept that, you know? And I don't think that you know, fans liking certain shows or certain movies is like it's a bad thing, you know, because I like I said, I still think that there are people who look at the prequels so poorly. Like they just do not think that the prequels are great movies. But for me, that was my childhood. Like you cannot take that away from me. Like that was really like how I became the Star Wars fan that I am today, because that was my introduction to this galaxy. And same thing, like for some kids, like you know, the kids that are growing up, my little brother, he watched the Clone Wars when it was still on Cartoon Network, and that was his, you know, like what made him the Star Wars fan that he is today. And for some people, that might be the sequel trilogy. That might be, you know, the Disney Plus shows that are on the streaming site. And I don't know, like I just wish that like people would just be more understanding of that. That you know what, like isn't a good thing that more and more people are being introduced to Star Wars. Maybe it might not be like, you know, your favorite part of Star Wars, but still, like I think it's so great when we get more and more fans to be a part of this community and a part of this fan base. I don't know. That's just like my 2 cents. I'll step off of my soapbox, but that's just how I feel about, you know, the toxicity of the fan base and stuff like that.
More like 2 cents sounded more like 50 cents, but that's okay.
Yeah.
No. In the words of our good friend DJ Khaled, we appreciate you. So you know.
Thank you.
With that being said, you mentioned being a fan content creator on Instagram. So I'm just curious, what are the biggest rewards about being a content creator on Instagram for Star Wars?
Oh man.
For
I
you?
mean, like for me, I think like there's a few things, right? For one, it's just a way for me to express my creativity. You know, I'm someone who does enjoy you know, filmmaking and editing pictures and stuff like that. And it's like really cool to have a space online where I can, you know, post content like that. The other thing is, you know, going back to like, you know, community, I really appreciate that I have found my people on like in the Star Wars, excuse me, fan base because of Instagram, because of other people sharing similar content that I'm into, which is, you know, displaying my collection and displaying and like just like kind of showing, you know, the parts of Star Wars that really resonates with me. I really appreciate finding that in an online space like Instagram. And also I think like just going back to having that outlet, like I think that it's very common for people who call themselves like, you know, fandom geeks to feel lonely in that kind of hobby, because it is so niche. It can be niche sometimes, and not everybody are obsessed as like, you know, fandom like we are. And so it's just really cool that like because of Instagram and because of like me posting the content that I do, I can find people that are just like me, and it makes it feel less lonely. And it's just cool that whenever a new piece of media comes out, we get to all talk and geek out about it together. And it's just something so special. I think that's why I appreciate being a part of this community so much. And I'm so thankful that I have been like allowed to have a voice in this community, because it's just something so special. I never want to take it for granted. I'm so thankful for, you know, this day and age that we have, you know, social media to create these kind of communities. Because obviously social media and being in the online world can have like its pros and cons. There's definitely a lot of bad that goes with it, but the beauty that comes out of it, for me, makes it all worthwhile just being a part of this online space, and especially in the Star Wars community. I think that it's just so it's just such a pleasure to get to partake in all these like celebration, all these like breaking news, and all these like whenever you see something go viral on online and it's like, you know, regarding Star Wars, it just makes you so happy as a fan, because it just, you know, it reminds you like why you're in it to begin with, right? And so yeah, as a content creator, it's just it's been such a joy to you know, create stuff that not only I get to enjoy it, but like other people get to enjoy it too. And it's so cool to like see people connect with like the content that I share, and you know, see something in the work that I post online. It's just something so special, and I'm super grateful for anyone who has been a part of this journey, whether it's been from like the beginning of the Padalorian or to this point. I'm super appreciative of anyone who just allowed me to be a part of this Star Wars community, and just be who I am, you know, because it can be kind of hard to really show that part of yourself in the real world. Whereas here, like, I don't have to be ashamed of loving what I love.
Right on, right on. Flip side of the coin,
Yeah.
though, big flip side of the coin, though, biggest challenges about being a fan content creator.
Yeah, I mean, I guess going back to like, especially with like the Star Wars fan base, it can have its moments of toxicity and division, and you know, it can be really hard to navigate through that as a content creator because, especially as someone who has like more people pleasing tendencies, like I want to be careful with what I say because I don't want to make a certain fan base unhappy, and another one, you know, like I just like want to make sure that the space that I create online is a safe space for everyone, judgment-free zone. You can love what you love as long as you're respectful towards everybody. That's something that I try to work really hard, especially like with my little corner of the internet. That's something I do my best with. And then I guess the other thing is like just like logistically, the problem that I know personally what I've been experiencing right now is just motivation to post. I think that a lot of people, what people don't see behind the scenes is the time it takes to come up with ideas, film or take pictures of that idea, and then like, you know, especially when it's videos, to the time to edit it. I think, you know, a lot of people don't understand that it takes a lot of creative energy out of you. You have to be, you know, motivated and like in the right headspace to you know, post the content that you're proud of. You know, the thing is, it's like what I try to do is not post for the sake of posting. Like I want to make sure that when I do post something, it's something that I'm proud of. It's something that I hope that other people will find either entertainment or education or value, like, you know, some value of some sort. Like that's what my aim is with anything that I post online. And so right now, I think like a big problem that I've been experiencing is just finding the time and energy to like when I'm going through like those creative slumps to get back on it. I think like, you know, I admire people that can post every single day, and it's something new, it's something different. But like the thing is, like, behind the scenes, I know that like they're just putting the work into it. And so like I think that I wish that I can improve like my work ethic so I can keep posting content consistently, make you know, my followers really happy and engaged with what I am sharing online. Because I think like, you know, a lot of people don't understand that this is also just a hobby for me. This is not something that I do full time. I don't get paid for it. A lot of what you see here is stuff that I paid with my own money. And the thing is, like, you know, it's one thing if you do this full time, you know, you definitely have like that motivation to post and make sure that what you're posting is people, or like what your followers want to see you, people, what your followers want to engage with. And so I think that that's the thing. It's like just finding, even though I'm not doing this full time, see if I can still, you know, treat the Padalorian account as something that I, you know, like treat it as if it was like a full time gig, you know, and maybe that will encourage me to, you know, to pump out more content. Because I think right now, like I wish I can be a little more consistent. And when you're not consistent, it can be kind of defeating, and you kind of beat yourself up, and then it's like this like vicious cycle where like it's really hard to break out of. But I think like, you know, in the next week with like May the 4th, and then like this upcoming summer with like conventions that I'm planning on going to, I think it will definitely rejuvenate that that urge and that creative juice that might be lacking right now. So yeah, I think that's a side of like, you know, having a fandom account that a lot of people don't really talk about, or a lot of people don't see.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What advice would you give to aspiring fan content creators out there?
Oh man, I would just say, you know, especially as someone who has been there before, I've seen these accounts. I aspire to be like them. I want to be like them, but I just don't there was like a period like of about like a few months where like I just sat on this idea of starting a Padalorian and I didn't do anything because I was just so scared. I was like worried about what other people might think. I was worried that, oh, it's not going to be anything big. I don't think it's going to grow to anything. It's just going to be like this account that I'm just not going to gain a lot of traction or whatever. But the thing is, it's like all those worries, all those fears that were holding me back, that would have prevented me from, being here with you, Ryan, and having this conversation with you. Like, if it wasn't for me taking that jump to create that account, I don't think that all this would be here, And so my advice that I would give to any aspiring content creators out there is I know it sounds so cliche, and it's like everyone says this, and I know how like annoying it can sound, but you just got to do it. You just got to start somewhere, right? And so I think like especially for someone like me who started off with a very small collection, like I'm telling you, I only had like 2 Funko Pops, a couple of reference books, and novels, and that was it. And I thought that this is nothing. I can't. What can I create content with this stuff? Like there's nothing to share. But I didn't let that stop me. I just got out of that negative mindset. And what I started off with, like in the Padalorian, the very early days, I was sharing from the aspect of like, hey, it's okay if you don't have like the biggest collection out there. It's okay if you only have a few collectibles to share. That is still something to share with. And I think a lot of people would appreciate your perspective as a newer collector, because we all started from that position. And a lot of people, like I remember like when I shared that aspect, that a lot of people appreciated hearing my perspective as a newer collector, someone who like didn't spend that much money on collections, and someone who wasn't afraid to share like my meager collection of like 2 Funko Pops and a few books. Don't let those fears, don't let those worries hold you back. You got to start somewhere, and when you start, be consistent, be engaging with your followers. Definitely form like those connections, and don't expect to ever get anything out of them. Just do it because for the love of the fandom. Just do it because you love what you do, and eventually opportunities will come along the way. If that's something that you're hoping to find, they will find you, but you just you can't find those opportunities unless you start from point A. So that would be my advice.
Goodness gracious, pal for president. No, I was just
No.
no, don't worry. I'm not gonna put you on that soapbox or in that limelight. But I will say, no, it's great advice. And in the words of our PSAs we heard when we were children, the more you know. That's
Yes.
and it's funny because a few things that jumped out at me. First of all, if you've never seen it, and this is, by the way, this is a criminally underrated film for those of you who are not familiar with this. Man of Steel. There's a scene where Kal-El's in a church. He's talking to a priest, and the priest says, "Sometimes you got to take a leap of faith. The trust part
Yeah.
comes later."
Yeah.
See, it's just in the words of Nike, just do it.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it's like I understand that it sounds very cliche. It's what every content creator out there says, but it really is true. And like even though like I opened up with the fact that right now I'm dealing with my own insecurities and my own like creative slump that's like currently stopping me from like really reaching that full potential that I know I can hit. But yeah, for those who are just starting off with like nothing, I promise you, like once you make that jump, it's only going to get easier from here on out. And like once you find your niche, once you find those people, like it's just going to give you like this sense of motivation and urge that you didn't have before because you didn't make that jump. And so yeah, you really just got to do it. If there's anyone, like I'm speaking from someone who really started from nothing, and now like look where it has got me, and I'm just super super grateful for the position that I'm in right now, because I aspire to have a collection like this, and I aspire to have like a display that other people would find like Abby earlier was saying that this is like shelf goals. And yeah, I mean the thing is, it's like I never thought that I would get to that point, because I was looking at other people on Instagram and all over social media that had like these displays and these collections that I wanted to have. And I didn't know if I would ever get to that point. And so you really don't know unless you try. And I know that like there's the Yoda quote, do or do not, there is no try. It's so true. You really cannot let those fears, those concerns, those worries hold you back, because this really was one of the best things I could have done for myself personally as an individual. Like this really has helped me, like, my own, sense of worth, my own sense of identity, for my own mental health. Like this has helped that in ways that I can't explain. And so if there's anyone out there that is in that same position where you aspire to do something like this, but for whatever reason you're just holding yourself back, I encourage you to like, don't let those thoughts hold you back, because you never know what could happen if you just open up that door and step right through it.
And then once you become a fan content creator, if the person who's watching this right now
Yeah.
should so choose to do that, whatever else, pretty soon you're going to do it. You're going to get yourself off the ground, off your feet, do your thing, grow and grow and grow. And then one of these days, we're all going to come back and do this.
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah! Yes! Yes!
It's so true though. When I look back at like how I like, where I'm at now, and just like, the people that I met, the experiences I got to document because of the Padalorian, I'm just so grateful. And like, yeah, it's like, heck yeah, like I'm so glad I did it. I'm so proud of myself for stepping outside of my comfort zone and doing the thing, and I'm hopeful that other people who are watching will get to experience that for themselves too. It's such an amazing feeling.
In the words of our good friend Morgan Freeman, she's right, Once again, this is, and I quote, with the guest of honor, Pal, aka the Padalorian. Don't forget to like and share. If you're joining us live on the replay, hello there. And if you have any questions, let us know in the comments. Exactly. Let us know in the comments.
Actually, the correct response would have been General Kenobi. I messed that up.
No, yeah, you could pull a Grievous on us, but it's fine. But if you have any questions, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the... Oh, goodness gracious. Let us know in the chat. Any specific special memories for you from being at conventions or other events, whether you're there as a fan content creator or there as an attendee, that stand out to you?
Oh my gosh, I feel like that's like, picking your favorite child, right?
I know, we'll probably be here all night. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like, I could, I have gotten the opportunity to meet several celebrities that I admire from, like, the Star Wars content that I watch. And, I can speak about that, but I honestly kind of want to talk a little bit about one of my last con experiences, which was, I got to go to Animate Raleigh earlier this year, and I got to attend as part of the press team. And I almost didn't apply. I almost didn't like bother going because I thought that it was going to be more like anime content. Like it's just like, it's more for like the anime crowd, more for those who enjoy watching cartoon shows, animation, stuff like that. There wasn't really a lot of Star Wars offerings, but I still applied. And I got to go, and I'm so glad that I did, because even though I thought that, there really isn't a place for me here in this convention, take that thought away from you. Like, if you go to a convention, more than likely you're gonna find your people somewhere on that convention floor. And thank God that I did. I really I found out that the 501st, the local the Carolina Garrison, the local 501st group in the Carolinas, they got to have a table there. And I spent a lot of my time over there talking to the members and just geeking out about all things Star Wars with them. And the memory that really sticks out to me, and the reason why I bring all this up, is because during Christmas last year, there was a parade that I went to, and the Carolina Garrison had a section in the parade where they got to dress up and show out. And one of the characters that were there was a cosplayer who dressed up as Sabine Wren, the live action Sabine Wren from the Ahsoka series. And she had a huge loft cat puppet. His name was Merle, and he was from the Ahsoka series too. And that was like, as a Star Wars fan, that's just so freaking cool to get to see in person. But what made that encounter so special was the fact that I had my daughter with me. She was about to turn 2 at the time. And, that was her first exposure to Star Wars like that. And the fact that I got to share something so special like that with her as a mom just made me feel all kinds of feels. And I'm so thankful for the Carolina Garrison for giving that moment to me. And the reason why I bring all that up is because I got to meet that Sabine Wren cosplayer at that Animate Raleigh convention. And I personally got to thank her for giving that moment to me that I get to share with my daughter. And it's like, I have my phone here, and it's like my iPhone background ever since, because that, for me as a mom who's into Star Wars, that's the kind of moments I dreamt about having with my daughter. And then she ended up giving me this 3D Logcat. I can pull it up right here. she ended up gifting me this 3D printed lock cat as like a way to commemorate that moment we got to share together. And as my daughter gets older, this is something that she encouraged me to give to her as a way to, just reflect on that time that we got to share as mom and daughter. And so, yeah, this is something that I never thought I would get out of a convention experience. But yeah, this happened, and it almost moved me into tears because that's just something that you can't recreate anywhere else.
Wow, the force is strong with this one, for sure.
Absolutely.
And first of all, congrats on finding the love of your life, and also not only that, but you got younglings. You got a youngling, so
Yeah.
that's brilliant. Have you started teaching them the ways of the Force, exposing them to a little bit of Star Wars here and there yet, or are they still too young for this?
No, so she's 2 now.
Okay.
I think that if there was any way for me to introduce her to Star Wars, it would be with that
Right.
Jedi Adventure show. I think that
Oh yeah.
like
Mhm.
maybe she might be ready for something like that. I don't think it would be too scary for her because obviously that's the thing about Star Wars that the lightsaber duels can be kind of intense.
Mustafar included,
Yeah,
yeah.
oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna take my daughter to watch Revenge of the Sith with me.
No.
Not yet. But in time, that'll happen. But so what I actually do with my daughter is I don't know if you've ever heard of the Lo-Fi Artists Close on Sunday.
No.
They do lo-fi
Mhm.
renditions of like different fandoms, but like what
Mhm.
he's known for especially is for Star Wars. I actually have like his playlist playing right there in the background because I just love the Ahsoka, like what is it called? Like the Lo-Fi Girl. There's like an
Yes.
Ahsoka version of it.
Really?
And so my daughter's exposure to Star Wars right now is through music. And so whenever she hears like this lo-fi playlist, whether it's in the car or whether it's at home, like she automatically, like as soon as that music starts playing, she will say Ahsoka because she knows that because she remembers Ahsoka being in the background. And so yeah, that's like right now her current exposure to Star Wars is through the music, which I feel like it obviously is such a big part of Star Wars. She also has a couple of stuffed animals that are Star Wars characters. Right now, her current favorite ones is Grogu, and she has like an Ahsoka doll too. But yeah, I'm hoping like as she gets older, I just can't wait to watch Star Wars through her eyes for the first time and just see her experience all that. Because I feel like any of us fans would do anything to relive like those moments all over again for the first time, and I feel like I'm gonna be able to have that with her as she gets older.
Truly wonderful. The mind of a child is.
Yes, it is. It's
There's
so
your
good.
there's your Yodaism for the day.
I love it.
Yeah, because I think where is he? I think he says it in Attack of the Clones, but it's the beauty of watching Star Wars montages. You just learn all these different lines. And what happens is because the funny thing is when I watch a movie once or twice, the whole script goes right up here, so I can quote it back to you verbatim.
I love it.
So
Hey, that's what this podcast is called, and I quote.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, because back in the day, for those who are wondering a little bit of the history here, there is a Nerd Culture 101 or Anti-Quote 101 playlist on our YouTube channel, which you can find that details, how we first started, when we got first started out, how we had to rebrand ourselves, reboot ourselves, and all that stuff. So we used to be called Nerd Culture. It was me and 5 other people, and we loved doing what we did. And then, when the pandemic hit, we created more content, got more stuff out. And then when the pandemic ended and people started going back to work, they said, hey, do you want to keep doing this? Because we're going to move on to something else. I said, yeah, I want to keep doing this. Why would I want to stop? It's too much fun.
Yeah.
They said, okay, well, here are the keys. Have fun. I was like, all right, great. So, and I've been doing it ever since. So we transitioned from Nerd Culture to Anti-Quote Channel, and it's been a while, but with the transition to Nerd Culture being Anti-Quote, which is now known as Anti-Quote Channel, which you can follow along with us on, at Anti-Quote Channel on all forms of social media, # always be promoting. We've grown by leaps and bounds. I've worked with some of the best people in the world. Obviously, our good friend, the Dutch Star Wars guy, Case, who commented with us earlier here in this chat, he designed the backgrounds, the thumbnails, the overlays. And he said, if you want to grow your channel, these are some of the things you may want to consider doing. And because people like him and Cade and people who I've worked with behind the scenes, behind the camera, folks, behind the camera, I would not, this YouTube channel would be not nearly as good as it is today. So thank you to Case, thank you to Cade, thank you to everybody who brought me on here when we first started out as Nerd Culture. All you guys, we miss you. We wish you the best. It's been one heck of a wild ride, pal. I'm not gonna lie, but it's been very, very good to me. Star Wars, very, very good to me. It's.
Well, I'm so thankful that you allowed me to be a part of
Yeah.
the of this community. It's so great to have this conversation with you, and I'm excited to see what is up next for you guys for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we do. For those of you wondering what the programming is, we do movie watch-alongs on the second, third, and fourth Friday of each month at 7 p.m. EST, and that quote drops on Saturdays 12 p.m. EST, which is the person you may be watching or listening to right now. Hi. We also do the Nerdy Cantina, where we talk about all things Star Wars when we have the opportunity to do so, and we schedule it out ahead of time. We started a new series called the Writers Showcase, where we get writers from all different genres, and they come on the show and they talk to us about their writing process. They talk about the joys, the highs, the lows, the advice that we give to aspiring writers out there. That's took off like a rocket ship. We've got 2 episodes down, 1 million more to go before we croak. So stay tuned. More to come. If you're an independent writer or publisher and you want to be on the show, let us know. Hit me up on the DMs of Facebook or Instagram, because for those of you who are wondering, I did dive back into writing again. Haven't done it in a while, but I started writing again, and it's been pretty good to me. And when you're writing is meant to be fun, right? I think writing should be fun. I think reading a book should be fun. So I started doing it again, and it's quite exciting. I'm not gonna lie to you, pal. It's been very, very exciting, because in our good, the words of what's his face, Han Solo, this is where the fun begins. So it's been very, very good to me. So if you're looking for Writer Showcase episodes, we do have a playlist for that. But yeah, we talk about all things fandom here. So it's a lot of fun. We and the movie watch-alongs. Don't worry, pal. I think we're gonna save you a seat at the table for Empire Strikes Back, which I believe is gonna be on May the 23rd. I want to say May the 23rd is when we're gonna drop that episode. So you may want to tune in. It's gonna be everything we do is live in front of a studio audience. So, pal, you're gonna want to save May 23rd in your calendar.
Add to my calendar.
And then the holiday season is going to be Force Awakens when it turns the magical number of 10, which I can't believe I'm saying that, because I feel like it was just yesterday that Pal, myself, and a few of the other fans that we've interviewed on this show were sitting in a 300-person theater going nuts when Force Awakens started.
Oh my gosh, I still remember it so clearly, and it's crazy to think it was 10 years ago. But then I watched Revenge of the Sith last night, and it was crazy to think that was 20 years ago. I don't even want to talk about that number.
I know. But just for argument's sake, though, what was your experience like re-witnessing Revenge of the Sith on the big screen? What was it like?
Man, I mean, the thing is, it's just like, I think, anybody who loves watching movies, especially on the biggest screen possible, it just doesn't compare to like watching it from home, right? And so from the opening scene where you see that battle over Coruscant, the visuals and the sounds and like explosions, everything was just nuts to see that once again in the movie theater. And then also just like being able to enjoy this movie with other Star Wars fans who enjoy the movie as much as you do. That's just something, again, you cannot recreate something like that in the comfort of your living room. Like, I know that some people have the reasons for wanting to just wait until it streams and then just watching it from the comfort of their home. I get it. I know movies are expensive. I know it's like it's a lot to ask for from people now, right? But I'm so grateful that me and my family, we got to watch that movie again, because I remember like the scenes of Mustafar. Like I remember it so clearly, just watching that duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin as a kid. And like, I couldn't believe my eyes, like what I was watching at the time. And as a, 30-something-year-old, as a grown adult, I still felt that way watching it last night. The fact that like I get to hear the music, I get to see the visuals, I get to see these fights, and get to like quote these the lines of the movie one last time on the big screen. I'm just so grateful that Star Wars is doing this for the fans, like re-releasing their most iconic movies on the big screen whenever it's a big anniversary, because it is worth celebrating. And I'm so grateful that I got to have that opportunity to just relive it one last time. Like, I hope this isn't the last time I'll watch it in on the biggest screen possible. But yeah, it was just it's just something that you cannot find or recreate in your living room, right? And so any chance I can get to watch Star Wars on the biggest screen possible, I'm gonna do it.
Giddy up, I hear that.
Yeah.
For moving into what is known as the future, for when it comes to the future, anyone you're hoping to see at conventions somewhere down the line, and the second part of that question is, would you ever cosplay? And if so, who would you cosplay as?
Yeah. So regarding cosplaying, so I'm that kind of fan. When I go to conventions, I aim for comfort versus like cosplay, and so I'll just like wear like a big tee, sneakers, and depending on like the weather, jeans or shorts, right? because that's just the way that I enjoy going to conventions, just like being as comfortable as much as possible. But if I were to ever cosplay as someone, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be such a big basic answer, but I think I would love to cosplay as Ahsoka. Ahsoka Tano is probably like my favorite Star Wars character ever. And I mean, as you can see, like I have like pretty much like a whole Ahsoka shrine over here. And I think it would be really cool to like maybe cosplay as the Siege of Mandalore version of her, because that's personally my favorite era of Ahsoka. So that would be really cool. I think like I would have to feel confident enough to cosplay like that, because that's the other thing too, right? I feel like cosplaying is such like an art in itself, and to be able to create these costumes and these pieces and these props with such accuracy, like that is also really intimidating and overwhelming for me to think about. But when you talk to like the 501st members, and when you talk to other cosplayers around convention halls, yeah, something like that. It motivates you, encourages you to give it a try. So we'll see. Maybe like in the future convention, you might see me walking around as Siege of Mandalore Ahsoka. But regarding people I would love to meet, so I've gotten the pleasure to meet several of celebrities who are involved in the world of Star Wars that I really enjoy. There's one person though, like I feel if I could ask one person to come to a convention near me, it would probably be D. Bradley Baker. So I've gotten the chance like meet Ashley Eckstein, Matt Lanter, and James Arnold Taylor. But D. Bradley Baker is like that last missing piece of that Clone Wars puzzle that I need to complete in order to say that like, oh yeah, I've met everyone who has been in Clone Wars. And so that would be a really cool guest that I would personally wait in line for and take a picture with, because I just love everything that he has done in Clone Wars. Captain Rex is my favorite clone. So getting to meet the Captain Rex at a convention would be super phenomenal. And then I think that last year I got the chance to meet the cast of Rebels. Most of them, I got to meet Vanessa Marshall, who is the voice of Hera, Tia Sakar, who is the voice of Sabine Wren, and Taylor Gray, who is the voice of Ezra Bridger, and Sam Witwer also. Sam Witwer was there, and he's the voice of Maul. So I got to meet all of them, but it would be really cool to also meet the rest of the Rebels cast, which would be Freddie Prinze Jr., who is the voice of Kanan Jarrus, and then Steve Bloom, who's the voice of Zeb Orrelios. So those are the three. Like I feel like, D. Bradley Baker, Freddie Prinze Jr., and Steve Bloom. And then I'll be a happy girl.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I mean, on the flip side of that, though, I've had the pleasure of meeting D. Bradley Baker. And fun fact, for those of you who didn't know this before, D. Bradley Baker was actually the voice of Olmec, the talking head on Legends of the Hidden Temple on Nickelodeon back in the day. One of the greatest game shows of all time. If you don't know what Legends of the Hidden Temple is, look this up, because he was the voice of Olmec, the talking head.
Oh my God.
So the fact that he was the voice of Olmec, let's rock, and then he's the voice of Captain Rex, let's go. It's like,
Oh my
dude,
God.
come on.
The thing is like something I forgot to mention in the beginning, like with the other fandoms I'm really into, was Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh yes.
So before Clone Wars, I considered Avatar: The Last Airbender as like the best like television series.
The cream of the crop.
At least when it comes to like kids TV, it's like just unlike anything else, right? And so when I found out that D. Bradley Baker was the voice of Momo and the voice of Appa, I was like, what? I didn't know this. But then, of course, you look through his IMDb and you see everything that he's been a part of, and he's just like he's just a force of nature when it comes to the animation world. Like like his voice acting is just legendary, and so to get to meet him would be so cool.
I met D. Bradley Baker. He was a nice guy. He actually took my phone. He's like, "Here, let me take the selfies." And he did. He took like 7 or 8 of them, and I only needed one. But he just took my phone and started going to town and like making all these different smiles and faces at me or whatever, or into the camera. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, I guess if you want to take my phone, go right ahead. But he was cool, and he signed the print that you have on the back set of backstage part of your wall. He signed it as Captain Rex. I had James Arnold Taylor sign his with the Force, because unfortunately Alec Guinness is no longer with us. So I said, James, can you sign it the way that Alex said in the original movie? And he says, the Force will be with you always. I'm like, yes. So it's like, even though Alec Guinness isn't physically with us anymore, like you can tell that James Arnold Taylor has a massive amount of respect.
Oh yeah, and Ewan McGregor, like they're doing such a great job of carrying that carrying that legacy with them for sure.
So yeah, James was great. Freddie Prinze Jr. Good luck getting into a con because it's like extremely rare. And the other thing is, I don't know if you
Oh.
noticed the trailer that dropped this week, but I Know What You Did last summer is getting the
Mhm.
rebooted treatment, which I don't know why Hollywood keeps doing this, but Freddie Prinze and Jennifer Love Hewitt reprised their iconic roles from the original slasher. And did you see the
No.
trailer? Have you seen the trailer for this?
No, I haven't seen the trailer,
It's
but I
out.
have heard that he was going to be reprising his
He's
role
back.
from the original. So I'm
Mhm.
hoping, like, hey, maybe this is just if he wants exposure, if he wants more people to watch it, maybe he'll come along to more conventions. So we'll
That'd be
see.
nice. It'd be nice to see him
Yeah.
and talk his ear off about stuff because when he shows up in the trailer, he says, "This is not the first time we've had violence like this in Seaport." And I'm like, "Well, yeah,
Oh
because
my
there was."
god.
And by the way, the plot of the reboot is the exact same plot as the original. The
Yeah.
exact same plot. There are no differences. There's no slouching.
Yep.
It's the same exact thing. Although Jennifer Love Hewitt shows up to kind of guide the kids who committed the
Mhm.
murder. Freddie Prinze
Oh yeah.
Jr. shows up to the town hall and warns people, "Hey, if you keep doing this." More people are gonna end up dead on the cutting room floor. No pun intended there, Hollywood. But
Right.
so yeah, Freddie, with him being in this new movie, he may start making the rounds again. I don't know. But if he
I know,
does,
like
great.
it's all for nostalgia though, right? Like you all these reboots and stuff that we're seeing come more and more to surface. I think it's just for the nostalgia factor, which I'm here for.
Yeah, it's just so weird. It's just so weird to see Freddie Prinze Jr. with salt and pepper hair because of his age.
I
He's getting a lot
know.
older, and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You've been 25 years old for 30 years. What the heck are you doing?
In my mind, you're not old. Yeah.
Yeah, well, look at Jennifer Love Hewitt. She hasn't really aged all that much. I mean, Jennifer
I
Love
know.
Hewitt's like a fine wine. She just seems to get better with age. Sorry, but
Yeah.
just being blunt. Um,
It's okay.
I mean, it happens. Let's see here. I'm trying to think. Just out of curiosity, do you have a TBR list? And if so, how big is it? Do you have a to be read list?
Yeah, so right now, like what I've been mainly focusing on is
Hmm.
Star Wars novels, just
Gee, why
because
am I not
like
surprised?
yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like I feel like if when I was a kid, I would read a lot. Like I was definitely a bookworm when I was younger, and somewhere along the way, I think
Really?
when you go to college and stuff like that, it
Hmm.
just kind of fell off, just because like so much of my time and energy was going towards like doing homework and writing papers, and I didn't have time to read, and so I don't read as much as I do, like especially when I was younger, but I figured that if there was a way for me to get back into reading, why don't you read about something that interests you? And so that's when I was introduced to the world of Star Wars novelization, and I couldn't believe like how many books are just like in like the books that have been written based on the Star Wars universe, right? Legends and canon and all the reference books and it's just overwhelming. And so for me, when I started reading, I started with the novelizations of the prequel trilogy. And then from there, I read, the Ahsoka book. Last year I read Thrawn. I read Dark Disciple because I wanted to be ready for the upcoming season of Bad Batch, where it was said that Asajj Adventures was going to show up somewhere. And honestly, just going back to there you go. Those are all the I guess what you would call like the legends books of Star Wars. I On that list, I have read Master and Apprentice, Dooku, what is and Brotherhood and Dark Disciple. So I've read some of those books that are shown up there, and I think out of all of them, oh my gosh, it's so hard for me to pick a favorite, but I would have to say Dark Disciple. Dark Disciple was I cried reading that book. It was absolutely perfect. Everything that I could have dreamt about, coming from like a Clone Wars arc that we're never going to see on the big screen. Like that was exactly what I needed to satisfy that itch. But on my TBR list, I think I have that new Andor book, the Reign of the Empire, I think is what it's called. It's based on the events leading up to I guess when Mon Mothma was going to leave the Senate. It's kind of like they said, it's like a bit of a spy thriller, political thriller, and that's a book that's like a genre I haven't like dived my feet into that much, so I'm excited to read that book. And I'm trying to see because I actually have like my I moved my books around and now they're in this other bookshelf here, and I think like another book I wanted to finish reading the Tron trilogy by Timothy Zahn that was written in the Disney era of Star Wars. Oh yeah, so I think like in order to be ready for the Ahsoka series season 2, I have to read Heir of the Empire, and so that's definitely on my TBR list. So I actually have like each of these books, Rise of the Red Blade, Kenobi, and Dark Plagueis in my collection. But I'm gonna have to find the time to read them eventually. But I think right now, like I want to prioritize like books that are about like the rebellions, like Andor, Rogue One, and then books that are gonna like tie into the series, the events that we're going to see in the Ahsoka series, season 2. And so that would be like the Thrawn trilogy, the original, like both the original one and the Disney version one, because Thrawn is such a compelling character, and when I read the first book, I just like appreciated him as a villain that much more. And yeah, that's kind of what I got right now, because I feel like if I just add more books, I'm never gonna get to it.
Yeah, my TBR list, as you can see behind us here in the studio,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. No, it does. It's just we haven't gotten around to it yet. That's our biggest problem in society. I have a 6-mile long list, just like Pal does, because Pal, you went over some of the titles that you're attempting to discover. Yeah, this is in the words, I got a bad feeling about this. This is
Yeah.
it's
I gotta get.
a smorgasbord. Let's put it that way.
I have to like set my expectations realistically. Let's just stick to it, like 3 books, and then we'll, because the thing is like I would also love to read the High Republic series, but that's a mountain of books you're talking about.
That's a multiverse right there.
Yeah, and so, but I feel like let me get there when I get there. Let's start off small, and then eventually, like that's where I would like to work my way up. But yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like I can't get enough of the Star Wars universe, and so like the fact that there are books now of like these characters I love so much, like I would love to dive into that world through like the pages of a book, and just appreciate them that much more. So I don't mind reading Star Wars right now. Eventually, like maybe I'll branch out and read other books, but for right now, that's as a mom, I don't have that much time anymore, and so that's what I am able to dedicate. When it comes to reading, that's what I want to focus on right now.
All due respect, I can completely understand that. I mean, you gotta spend your time reading to them. Whether it's the Berenstain Bears, the Frog and Toads, the Curious George, the Curious Little Monkey.
She loves If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. That's been her favorite. Yeah.
There's that one. Remember? I think I do remember that one, right? If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. Yeah. Remember that one? There was one called. Wasn't there one called like Little Drummer Boy or something like that, or Good Night Moon? There's Good Night Moon or something.
Yes, like Chicka Chicka Boom Boom's another one of my favorites.
Yeah, there was.
It helps her learn the alphabet. I love it.
Oh, there's that one. Yeah. Because I'm trying to think. There was another one that was. Oh gosh, why am I blanking on this? There was 2 books that I remember as a kid that were very, very little. I'm trying to think of what it was. It was. Well, first of all, if we discussed this earlier. I know you're not really into horror like Jaws is. Jaws is a bit of a horror thing, but there was an anthology book series called In a Dark, Dark Room that came out when we were very little kids.
Heard of it, yeah.
And I remember our teacher either presenting it to us or it was at one of those things called a Scholastic Book Fair. Anybody remember those? Which I know you were there, right? So these were
there. Yes.
We got flooded with the catalogs. The parents would look at them. We would tell our parents what we wanted our parents to buy us. Half the time we wouldn't even read the books that they purchased. We just wanted because the covers look so good, right, pal? We love the covers. We want to put them up on a shelf, maybe somewhere, maybe back here, I don't know, in the studio. But still, Scholastic Book Fairs, excuse me, those were the good days, folks. Those were fun. Those were simpler times too. And they're still going, I believe. They're still going. A lot of schools, I think a lot of schools are still holding them every year, which is great, promoting literacy amongst children, which please keep doing that, will you?
Absolutely. Yep.
So yeah, but there was In a Dark, Dark Room was one of them. Do you remember that one, In a Dark, Dark Room?
I think so. Yeah. Those were the books that I was too scared to read as a kid, but I've definitely come across it. Yeah.
And then of course there was the classic R.L. Stine's Goosebumps.
Those covers, oh my gosh. They freaked me out when I was younger.
They're great pieces of artwork, but they creep everybody out, including myself and Pal over here. So, I remember that was another series of books that came out. Here's something that will really throw you back into the roots here of Scholastic Book Fairs from the 90s. Animorphs.
Yes. Oh
Animorphs was a series of books about a group of like young kids, right? I think they were teenagers, like in high school, and they discovered that their small town was being invaded by an alien force. And this alien ship crash lands, gives them a gleaming cube, and the kids touch the cube, right? They touch the cube, and here's what happens. They have the ability to transform themselves into a different animal.
Yeah, those covers were pretty freaky too. Like the evolution.
I don't think they were freaky. I think they were pretty cool personally. But
I
but
don't know. It's just like the artwork, from the 90s, It's not like what we have today. So they tried their best to make that evolution look as seamless as possible.
well, I guess in Pal's case they creeped her out. But hey, I thought the covers were pretty snazzy. They were pretty cool because, as we all know, they all say that never judge a book by its cover, but we do it anyway because it's the cover that's going to sell me the book. It's the
Sometimes,
back,
yeah.
and sometimes when I read the back of somebody's book and I read the synopsis of what the storyline is going to be, I'm like, okay, I see where this is.
Mhm.
I see where this is going to potentially go. I'm up for reading this book, right, pal? You ever find yourself reading the back
Oh
cover of
yeah.
a book?
Yeah. And sometimes like it's also cool to do like that blind book date where like it's covered up in like a
Oh, wrapping
like
paper.
wrapping paper, and it just gives you a synopsis. Like you have to read that synopsis and go off it. You can't go off by the cover, and that's pretty cool. That's like I like it when you go to bookstores and they do that to you. But I mean, there's some books like you look at the cover and like you can't help but your interest is piqued because it's just gorgeous to look at. Um,
Yeah, I mean, case in point, we got these two.
Yeah. Like if we're talking about a Star Wars book, like I'm looking on my shelf here, The Living Forest by John Jackson Miller, that cover
Mhm.
looks like a movie poster.
Yeah.
I was just like blown away by that movie poster or sorry, the book cover. Because it looked like something you would see like in the movie theaters, And so if there was any book where I was definitely taken back by the cover, it would be that one.
I mean, speaking of John Jackson Miller, I mean, I'm in the process of reading that. He wrote this, so
Yes, he did. So he's someone who's been to a couple of Galaxy cons that I've been to, and I've had the
yes.
pleasure to speak to him. I've gotten some books like New Dawn. I got to order it from his table, and he signed it for me. And what's the other one? The Kenobi book. Yes. See, I can't grab my book right now. Well, actually, you know what? Hold on. There's this book right here. I think this one is signed. I just added this to my shelf too.
Oh, did you?
So yeah. So this is A New Dawn.
Oh, yes,
By
yes, yes,
Jackson
yes.
Miller.
Yeah, the
And I
precursor to
believe
Rebels. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's
Oh,
me too. It's so cool. The other one, so I ended up this was like the old
oh yeah.
version of this
The
book.
original
Like
book.
now, yeah, so now the like the mass produced books, they don't look this small anymore. Now they look like a normal book size. And so last year I bought that new version from his table, and when he signed it, he got to sign it with like "May the Force be with you." So that was really cool. But I leave this here on my bookshelf just because like the colors I feel just scream Rebels to me.
Yeah, our good friend
Yeah.
Case. I'm not sure if I think you've read that, right? You tell me you like that one, A New Dawn, because you're a massive Rebels. I mean, then again, when is he not? Case, you like
Oh,
most of the Star Wars stuff anyway. So what? I mean,
ooh.
not everything, but you do like Case. You
So
do
Dawn,
like.
yeah, so A New Dawn, I actually have not read this book yet.
Oh,
It is on my TBR list.
TBR.
But because yeah, but because there were like other books I wanted to get to because of certain series that were coming out, that's what I've primarily focused on. But once there's like because after Tales of the Underworld, there's going to be a bit of a period where we're not going to see any new Star Wars. I think that's when I will, maybe pick up a book like this that is just an era of Star Wars that I enjoy so much, and hopefully I get to enjoy it because like these two characters, they mean everything to me. So
Fair enough. I've actually read from the Star Wars novels that I've read thus far, because my journey is very early on as well. I've only read a
yeah,
few of the novels. Like there's so many. There's way too many. That's why we call it a galaxy far, far away, because it's a huge galaxy
yes,
of books that Pal and I are probably never going to get through. But
that's so
the
true.
but the one that stood out to me thus far, and I've had the pleasure of meeting her not once but twice, Claudia Gray, the queen of all Star Wars,
Yes,
Master and
yes,
Apprentice. Oh my
it's,
lord! I
it's
mean,
such a good book.
when I read that book and what Qui-Gon was questioning about the Force, and he was questioning,
Mhm.
what is destiny? What do we believe in the
Yeah,
what do you call it, like the path to destiny and all this other stuff. Like that book makes you think about a lot of stuff, honestly,
there
because
was like a lot of stuff that happened in that
yeah,
book that were very
explored.
like yeah, like it's they talk about like slavery in the galaxy and
Mhm.
stuff like that, and it's just
And the
Qui-Gon
difference,
in the middle of that.
yeah, and the
It's
differences between what Qui-Gon believes in and what Obi-Wan is trying to believe. So it's like a
just
difference
so
of
different.
opinion. It's a
Yeah,
difference of
yeah,
belief systems. Obi-Wan's saying, well, we should do it this way. And Qui-Gon's like, no, 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 no. We should think about it doing it
mhm,
this way. But
right,
Obi-Wan's like, well, why would you want to break from this? Why can't you do it? That
yeah,
book, that book I mean, Master and Apprentice, I mean, it really is a masterpiece in my opinion. I've met Claudia Gray twice. I walked up to Claudia the second time I saw her. I said, Claudia,
That's
without a
so great.
shadow of a doubt, Master and Apprentice is what made me a Star Wars book fan because
That's
that book
amazing.
is so good and so iconic
Yeah.
at questioning, do we believe in this? Should we follow our instincts? Should we follow what the Force is telling us? All this other stuff. Because we all have
Right.
these seeds of doubt. We all have these seeds of, do we believe in this? Why do we believe in this? Should we be truthful to ourselves? Should we be truthful? Da, da, da.
Right. Right.
It's so, in the words of our good friend Spock, it's fascinating. And door number 2, and I said this to her as well, Lost Stars. Oh my gosh. Lost Stars. Have you read Lost Stars?
No, that's another one on
Okay.
my TBR list. I
You
feel
are gonna be prepared to be floored, prepared to be broken,
yeah.
prepared to be in shock and disarray, and
Yep.
you
Yep.
are
All
gonna
the things.
you're gonna run up to Claudia the first time you see Claudia, you're gonna run up to her and say, "Look,
Mhm.
you are the best in the world. You are the greatest at what you do. This is why Star Wars needs to adapt these books as an animated series because everything that Claudia Gray
Yeah.
writes, as far as I'm concerned, has turned to gold and can be not easily, but could be adapted into an animated series. If I saw Master and Apprentice as an animated series with Ewan McGregor and what's his name, Liam Neeson, reprising
Yeah.
his role, I would be there tomorrow.
No, absolutely. And like actually, like fun fact, I'm pretty sure Master and Apprentice was my first Star Wars book I read because I wanted to do it in like chronological order based on like events, and that technically came first before Phantom Menace. So I read that book first. That was my introduction to Star Wars books. That was my introduction to Claudia Gray. And I believe that's so like the same summer where I got to meet the cast of Clone Wars, Claudia Gray was also there. And so I got to personally geek out with her about that book, and she got to sign it for me as well. And now Lost Stars is on my TBR list because I think I personally have been like avoiding that book because I heard how much of a heartache it is. But I think that just means that the book is so good, right? Like the book is meant to be read. So I definitely got to find the time to read it and be in the right headspace for it because I have a feeling it's gonna break me down.
Well,
Yeah.
once you do read it, I expect a full book report here
I would
at
love
the
to give that
office.
to you.
Here at-
I'll probably need group therapy after that. You know,
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
to have a therapy session.
Well, one of these days, I don't know when we're going to do this. Like I said, we've been on hiatus for quite some time now with the Nerdy Cantina, which is our Star Wars themed programming here on Anti-Core
Right,
Channel. But once we
right.
do bring it back, I think we may do an episode focusing just on Star Wars novels. So
That'd be
we'll
great.
bring you in. We'll have a therapy session. We'll talk about it. We'll think about it. We'll dream about it. We'll discuss it. Because for those of you who are watching this and you've read some of the Star Wars novels that are set, that have been, during the new Disney era or, pre-Disney, the Star Wars Legends
Right.
stuff, whatever era it is, I'm just saying we are going to have an episode focusing on Star Wars novels somewhere down the line. I just don't know where or when. I know where it's going to be in the studio. I just don't know when yet. But Pal's
Yeah,
going to have a seat at the table. We're going to
I
sit
would
down. We're going
love
to talk
that.
about it. We're going to discuss it amongst ourselves, and we're going to discuss it with you who may be watching or listening to this. And don't forget to like and share. And if you're joining us live on the replay, hello there. And this, goodness gracious. No, but full disclosure though, when it goes back to the cosplay front that you and I were discussing earlier in this program, I have cosplayed as a Jedi.
Very cool.
It's fun, but if you're in a building and it gets very hot, it's very hot wearing the tunic. I'm not gonna lie, wearing the tunic and the Jedi robes, as we all know, can be very hot. All right, it can be
Yeah,
very
and that's why I go for comfort for that reason.
yeah.
'Cause it can
Hal's
be
saying, let me
very,
just
very
wear a
warm.
pair of sneakers and wear my normal human clothing, and I'm
Yeah,
good to
just
go. I don't
like
need
wear a little Clone Wars shirt.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all you
fine.
need.
Which is fine. I'm not going to argue with you on that. I'm really not. But I've gone as a Jedi. I've dressed as Kanan Jarrus from Rebels, and I dressed as that when I met
Yay.
Vanessa Marshall for the first time. And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, this is a nice cosplay. Nice work." I said, "Thank you." Yeah. I got this Kanan Jarrus Everyday Cosplay shirt from our good friend Ashley at Fangirling Over Jesus. So
That's like those shirts that look like costumes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That's why I dressed as
Those-
Kanan, because I'm like, hey, if I can get the shirt from Ashley and then just get a pair of gloves, a pair of knee pads, and I got my
Yep.
saber, I'm good to go. Which I didn't bring my saber with me because the saber is quite heavy, but it's a lot to carry around. It really, really is. So I just went as Kanan, but I wasn't wearing my fingerless gloves. I wasn't wearing the knee pads because when I put the knee pads on, I realized they were a little too, what do you call it? Not heavy, but it was a lot to wear. And I'm just like,
And
I
that's
want to
the
be
thing.
comfortable when I'm doing this. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I ditched what is known as the knee pads, right, pal? And then
Mhm.
and I couldn't even wear the fingerless gloves because I realized, well, if I'm hanging out with people, I'm going to start to get my hands are going to start to get sweaty.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
no
Yep.
fun. I don't like
Yeah.
that. So I just wore the shirt. I just wore the
Just
shirt and the
the shirt.
pants.
That's
I
all
wore
you
the
need.
shirt, the pants, and I wore a pair of comfortable sneakers because when you're walking around concrete floors, of convention centers. Make sure you're wearing comfortable sneakers, folks.
Yeah. And especially if you're someone like me who stands in line to meet these celebrities, you don't know how long you're going to be standing, and just like you said, on concrete floors, it's not fun. So
It's
yeah,
terrible.
I'm a proponent for comfort. Yep.
Yep. Al and I come from the same what do you call it? What train of thought?
Yeah.
Wear comfortable sneakers, right, pal? Wear comfortable shoes. Let's just put it that way.
But I do admire like those people that like wear the the
The
Mandalorian,
Mandalorian mercs. I mean, those guys.
like more all kudos to them, because I know that they're suffering
sweating.
under that suit, but like they're doing it for the fun of it, and I appreciate them so much for that.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, one of my dream cosplays one of these days, I don't know if this is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, but I wouldn't mind going as a Mandalorian because
That would be cool.
wearing
Yeah.
the armor and then having the helmet. And by the way, people do wear helmets with fans built right into them, so you're not sweating to death. There are ways to go about it. If anyone knows where I can find these things, let me know.
Yes,
But
yes.
I wouldn't mind going as a Mandalorian because I love Mandalorian armor. I think it's bad. Excuse my language. I think it's badass.
It is.
It's truly
It is.
badass, right? So I would go as a Mandalorian, just straight up, right? Not any particular one. I just want to go as a Mandalorian and be part of the 501st for 2 minutes. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the cool thing about the Mandalorian mercs is the fact
Yeah,
that
the mercs, yeah.
you can like pretty much like customize it any way
Your
you
armor,
want.
yeah.
And I think that's because like maybe you don't want to be very specific to like a certain character. That's like the freedom that you have with the Mandalorian mercs that you probably don't have with with the Rebel Alliance, with the Garrison, like the 501st, I should say. You have to like be very screen accurate with
very
certain characters.
particular. Yeah.
But with Mandalorian mercs, you can have fun with it as long as it looks movie accurate. Like the costume looks like it's that quality. The Beskar and the helmet, you can have so much fun with like customizing, like making your own Mandalorian character, and that's so fun. That is so much fun.
Maybe that's something I'll dive into once we get into 2026 here. I'm not really sure, but that's one. And then the other thing I'd be willing to do is go as a rebel pilot. The jumpsuit, the red and white. You know what I'm saying? Like red 5 kind of thing.
For me, if I were to like jump into the world of like cosplaying like a 501st member, for me, the rebel pilot is probably one that I would want to do first, just because it seems easy enough, more comfortable, not too much 3D printing that you would have to do, right? And like some of those costumes you can just buy online, like if you don't want to do it from scratch.
That's true.
Yep, exactly.
Rebel pilot, yeah.
Because that's the thing. I definitely more align with like the light side, with like the rebel side versus the
Let's
Imperial.
do that.
So yeah.
Yeah, Al and I are going to show up to your next convention, folks. We're going to go as rebel pilots. So
let's do it. I love it.
I'm going to be. I'll pilot the X-wing. What would you rather pilot? An X-wing, a Y-wing, or an A-wing? What would you do?
I think I'm so basic. I would say X-wing. I think
those,
it's so cool to look at, and it's iconic. When you think of Star Wars, you think of
Red 5. This is Red 5. I'm going in.
Yeah. I don't know, but to pilot the Ghost, that's like what I would want to do. Like I think piloting the Ghost next to Harrison Dula would be pretty cool. Yeah. I have like a little mini one right here.
Is that a mini one? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that! Yeah, that's the Ghost, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a Hot Wheels little collectible. So yeah, not to like take it away from Hera, but it would be really cool to be inside of the Ghost, like as a co-pilot.
Have you ever been to Galaxy's Edge and piloted the Millennium Falcon?
I have been. So the last time I went to Galaxy's Edge was in December 2021.
How was
it? It was so, oh my gosh, like just the details, the immersion was just, I hate to say it, but out of this world. It really was. And but the thing is, it's like what I tell people though is the last time I went to Galaxy's Edge, that was before, like literally 2 months after that trip is when I would be watching Clone Wars and Rebels for the first time. So I had just like missed out on understanding so much more of the references, so much more of the Easter eggs that you would find in Galaxy's Edge if I had just watched like Clone Wars and Rebels a little bit sooner. So I feel like I didn't get to really appreciate it to the max like I would now as the Star Wars fan that I am today. So the next time I go to Galaxy's Edge, like I feel like I'm not really gonna explore anywhere else around the park. I'm just gonna stay in Batuu and explore every crevice, every inch of that land, because I feel like now I would be able to understand and get so much more of the references that you see around that area of the park. because like I just dived into these worlds a lot more deeper. So yeah, I got to make a trip out there for sure.
I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge. It's so sad.
It's so cool. You would love it. And like Rise of Resistance and Smuggler's Run with the Millennium Falcon, those rides are just so great. And so I don't know. Like the one thing I wish that they would do is like incorporate more, more characters outside of the sequel trilogy. You know, 'cause, like I know they now have like the Mandalorian walking around.
Ahsoka's walking around.
Chopper had been walking around with Hera at some point.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. Like it would be like, again, I'm a prequels girly. Like I wish that they could have like a spot where we could have some characters like younger Anakin, younger Obi-Wan, and walking around. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. If it happens, maybe it's going to have to be some sort of park expansion. But I don't know. Right now, with what we got, like you get Chewie. Like Chewbacca is iconic. Like and no matter what kind of Star Wars fan you are, everyone loves Chewie. So yeah, whenever you get to go, just like wait around those areas where roaming characters might walk around, and you start a conversation with them. Like I think last time I went was like it was like right after it's still technically in the middle of COVID, so we didn't get to have those roaming characters. We really couldn't get that up close to them. So the selfies I took were very far away. Now that like COVID's over and we can just like roam around and get as close as you want. I think there's that interaction with them would be much more elevated than like what I had. So I would need to do that experience all over again, but now as like a new Star Wars fan, like a new rejuvenated Star Wars fan.
I got to get on this, folks. I haven't been to Disney World in 25 years, so I've
Oh,
I know
so
it's pretty bad.
different.
It's pretty bad. But one of these days, if I ever get a chance and an opportunity presents itself, with all due respect, because we all know traveling and everything going on in the world is very costly.
It is,
Yeah, thanks, inflation. You're ruining our lives. But if we ever get down to Florida, the great sunshine state of Florida, because I know a lot of people down there, good friends of mine live in Florida, and some good comic book shops are down there too. Let's give it up to Famous Faces and Funnies of West Melbourne. What's up, guys?
Yes.
We're gonna have to get ourselves down there, go to Galaxy's Edge, go to Smuggler's Run. Maybe I'll be on the Millennium Falcon. Maybe I'll pilot the gosh darn thing. It'd be a better pilot than Han Solo was when he made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Yes.
And by the way, I've outrun Imperial starships, not the local ball cruisers, mind you. I'm talking about the big Carillion ships. Isn't that right, pal? She's fast enough for the
right.
What's
That's
the cargo? Only passengers, myself, boy, 2 droids, and no questions asked.
There you go.
What is this, kind of local trouble? Let's just say we want to avoid any imperial entanglements.
You got this. Look at you go.
But it's what happens when you've seen these movies billions of times. Which, by the way, it's funny you mentioned that Empire kind of ranks a little bit below the other ones, because this is how I rank my Star Wars movies. Force Awakens is my number 1. Rogue One's my number 2. New Hope is number 3. Empire is number 4. And Return of the Jedi is number 5. So there you go. It's original trilogy order.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's just like I feel like it's so hard for me to rank. I'm like, I know people will ask me, hey, how would you rank Star Wars movies? And I'm
how
like,
would you rank them? Top 5.
Well, top number 1's definitely Revenge of the Sith.
Really?
Then I would, 100%. Oh yeah, that is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time.
If you are not with me, then you are my enemy. Sorry. So many lines I could go into, but still. So Revenge of the Sith is number 1. What's number 2?
Maybe I would say, like, if we're just talking about like objectively, like what's the best Star Wars, I would maybe say Rogue One.
There you go.
Be number 2, and then after that, I might say A New Hope, just because, like, for me, I don't know,
so good.
It's what started it all, right?
And it's endlessly rewatchable. It's very rewatchable. Yes. Would you agree with that? It is.
I agree. And then after that, oh man, I don't know. You know what? I think I should throw like The Force Awakens up there, because I think like The Force Awakens, even though like the sequel trilogy, and for me personally, it didn't stick the landing.
Right, I agree.
What I felt during watching The Force Awakens was just like irreplaceable, right? Like there was nothing else like it.
Crowded theater, middle of the night, full house, families there, friends are there, brothers are there, and we all just went nuts.
Christmas time too, so it's like the holidays around, And then number 5.
It is number 5.
Let me see. You know what? I'll be nice. Oh no, actually, oh my gosh.
Come on.
It's between Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, and I'm sorry, I hate to say it, I would probably say Return of the Jedi.
That's fine.
I'm so sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
For all the Empire Strikes Back fans, that's all right. I gotta stay true to me.
If it did, it's all right. I think you're the first person in the history of America that has ever said, "Hey, Empire Strikes Back is on my number 1. It's not even in my top 5." Sorry, fans.
Sorry.
It's
There's so many
okay.
movies now. There's so many movies, you know?
That's
But
right.
but the thing is like I look at them all the same. Like I really do. Like I appreciate all of them. And it's like if you have to like if I have to rank them, that's what I would do. But to me, it's an impossible task. And I feel like my mind changed every single day with how that ranking will go.
I'm
That's
very
just how I feel today.
I'm very curious to see what you, the person who's watching or listening to this, how would you rank the Star Wars movies? Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat.
Love it.
Case,
Let's do it.
Case, I know you've ranked these. I know you've logged them into your Letterboxd account on social media because Letterboxd is a way for people to log
Yeah.
in all the movies they've seen. They rank movies of different franchises and all that kind of stuff. I've made lists there myself on my own account.
Yeah.
But Case, refresh your memory and let us know what your top 5 is, either in the comments or you can send me a DM and I'll pass it on to Pal because I'm
Yes.
curious what your top 5 is because I can't remember. I know you mentioned I know you mentioned Empire being your number 1. I'm pretty sure you did. And then New Hope, Empire, they're in there somewhere. I just can't remember. But Case, look forward to hearing from you later, brother. But with that being said, favorite scene in Star Wars, in a Star Wars movie, favorite scene in a Star Wars movie.
Oh no, I feel like I don't
Is,
know. I'm
is
kind of
there a
saying
favorite
if I were to pick a favorite,
scene?
and
Yeah.
and I know it probably feels pretty like, you know, the safe answer,
Okay.
but when Luke does look out to the twin suns and you hear the Force theme for the very first time,
Oh
like
yes, Binary
yeah,
Sunset.
yeah,
Yeah,
the binary. Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant to say. The binary sunset,
Binary Sunset.
the
Yeah.
twin sun, and it's just like because I think that was like the turning point for Luke when he's like, am I just going to stay here on Tatooine, or am I going to make a name for myself?
Something of
Am I going
myself.
to?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like that really was like the start of Star Wars, if you want to say. So for me, and also just like the Force thing, just hearing that for the very first
John
time.
Williams, guys. John Williams.
Yeah, it sounds so hopeful, but then it kind of quiets down and just sounds more somber because Luke just thinks that I'm never going to get out of this planet. But he does. Like, obviously it was just around the corner and he just, the way that happened maybe wasn't the best circumstances, but that's what it's like, fighting for the rebellion.
Well, in fact, I'm not even sure what planet I'm on. Well, if there's a bright center of the universe, you're on the planet that is farthest from.
That's true. That's true.
Which is how I feel almost every other day of my life.
Yeah.
Can I get out of this system of Tatooine and go somewhere else? And instead of being a moisture farmer, I can do something else in my life? Maybe. I don't know.
I
Because
hate Sam.
Krennic looks at what's his name? Galen and says, moisture farming? Really? It's a peaceful life. I'm like, well, by the way, have you seen the meme where it says, you love all of Star Wars? Really? And then Galen says, it's a peaceful life. Have you ever seen that meme?
Oh my god, yeah.
Have you seen
that's
this?
how I feel. It's like, yeah,
If you haven't seen this meme, look it up. It's hilarious. I'm like, because there are some things about Star Wars I certainly do not like. But for someone to say, you love all of Star Wars? Really? It's a peaceful life. I'm like, okay. If you want to have that, listen, you have at it, folks. But
sure.
yeah, there's that. So favorite line in Star Wars? Favorite line that's ever been uttered?
So I think the one that I've been going back to recently, and like if I can say a line outside of the movies, for me, it's the line that says that Hera Syndulla says in Rebels. She says, "We have hope that
things can get better."
Things can get better, and they will. Like that line resonates so much with me. And like the thing is, like I even have like this tattoo of that says hope in Arabic. And I don't know, it's like it might be reverse on the camera, but
Right.
like this is the way you're reading it. And because like with the word hope to me is it holds so much meaning to me, and to have it tattooed on my arm in Arabic, like I kind of had to, because hope is such a big theme in Star Wars, right? But if I were to say like that's one of my favorite quotes, but also like in the movies, it's the one that Generoso says where like hope is, or rebellion is built on hope. That to me is just like such an inspiring quote, and it transcends outside of like the universe of Star Wars. I feel like not to get too deep into it, but like when you see like what's going on in the world, like the thing is we have to stick to hope. Like we can't be hopeless, we can't feel like helpless, we can't be Debbie Downers all the time. Like we have to rely on that feeling of hope if we ever want to see the world be a better place. And I just love how Star Wars is a great reminder of that.
It's funny you say that, because when I met Vanessa Marshall, aka the voice of Hera,
Yeah.
I had her sign my Rebels print because I got a Rebels 8x10 from Taylor Gray when I met him years prior, and I had him sign Taylor Gray, Ezra, and that was cool. said, Vanessa, can you sign it with this line? I mean, granted, you had to pay a little extra coin for quotes on these things.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
you
that's how business is, which I'm not a big fan of, but that's how it is. I said, Vanessa, would you sign it this way? She's like, yeah, sure. And she signed it with, we have hope. Hope that things will get better. And they will.
Yeah.
That's a Marshall
It's
Dash
such a
era.
great- And like, she's Space Mom, and the fact that Space Mom gets such like endearing, and like, she told Ezra that at the end of an episode. Like, it's just like she was speaking to all of us, not just Ezra. So that's just one that like really like I cling on to me. Especially in the times that we're living in. You just got to like really never let go of that sense of hope.
She's right,
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely correct. Yeah, no, Vanessa was great meeting her. All the cast members I met. I mean, heck, I even met the armor herself, Emily Swallow.
Yeah, yes, I'm really Swallow.
Once again, and let me tell you something about these people at conventions. Emily Swallow, once again, one of the nicest people in the entire galaxy, much less the universe. She was great. Holds her hammer during the picture between my friend Stephanie and I. It's on our social media. You can find it on Instagram. It's all there.
So cool.
Emily was great. She signed a fan art print that I got from a friend of mine. He does watercolor ink, actually. It's very fascinating. You might want to look him up. His name is Amorable Art on Instagram. He also known as Pat Kenrick. He's a close friend of mine. Don't worry, pal. If you haven't followed this person online social media yet, I will send you their links. No problem.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Watercolor. Yeah. So she signed it, and I said, "Can you sign it with 'This is the way'?" And she said, "Yeah, sure, I can do it." And she signed it, and I'm like, "Oh," because every time she says that, it's just, it's the best. It's magic, right?
I mean, it's like how guys feel about the seismic charge in Attack of the Clones. It's just like one of those like satisfying songs. You have to hear it from Emily Swallow.
Yeah, no, Emily Swallow's great. She's one of the nicest people in the world. Pal, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to meet her yet, but when you do, your heart's gonna melt of how awesome tacular of a person that she really is.
No, yeah, and my friend was waiting in line for an autograph from her, so I got to like chat with her for a little bit, and oh God, she's just like so beautiful. Like her smile just like radiates, like it's so radiant. And she got to do a panel with like Paul Hung Lee, and I got to listen and all that, and just hearing the stories about the how it was like filming for The Mandalorian. It's just so great, and I'm so glad that we get to have her be a part of the Star Wars universe.
For sure, life would be very different without her around. But it's just one of those things. But yeah, no. All honesty, listen, we've run the gamut here from different, whether it's the Potter houses, Gryffindor.
Sure, yeah.
Talked about some book fairs that we used to experience when we were younglings. That's right, younglings, because we weren't Padawans just yet. When does someone become a Padawan anyway? What's the age range for that? Did we ever figure that out?
No. Well, I mean, we mentioned books, and in that like Count Dooku book, like they talk about how like there's like that trial that they have to do to make the jump from a youngling to a Padawan, and like a big part of that is that they have to have a Jedi Master take them in. So, but I would think like maybe it's like early teens, right? I mean, that sounds about right. Like Ahsoka, like I think she was only a teenager when Anakin took her in, so not too young, but at the same time, she was definitely like I would say like middle school age. That's like what I would think.
All right, because I never could figure that out. Like, when does someone become this? When does someone become that? Make up your mind.
I'm sure there's like somewhere in a reference book. This is just me speculating. Me as like just like a just a normal Star Wars fan. That's what I would say.
Gotcha. All right. Well,
we've been chatting so much about.
I know.
All over the spectrum, and I love it. It's been so great.
Beautiful thing. And you mentioned your favorite line being the Vanessa Marshall's Harris line. So yeah, I mean, obviously, there's so many different lines I enjoy, but one of my favorites is obviously "This is the way" because I can apply to so many different things.
Yes.
The Force be with you always. This is always hopeful one. That's always a good one. And then Yoda's "Do or do not. There is no try." That it's kind of hard to try something when you don't like. It's kind of hard to do something when you're not at least trying it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those twisty things, but I get what Yoda is saying though.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I this isn't a line I use in my everyday vernacular. This applies to somebody else. But one of my favorite lines of all time was, I think this was improv, wasn't it? You stuck up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerve herder. Who's scruffy look? Like that whole scene. And the whole face. Do you see what I'm saying? I think part of that was improv. And if it was, then bless Carrie Fisher's heart, because that line is iconic.
Carrie Fisher, yes. No, she like I that's the thing. It's like I know like movies, like there's not a lot of room for like improv, but when you get like those gold nuggets, it's so great that we can get leave with a movie with that.
Well, that's a valid point. Well, on that laughter bit of a note, I'm going to take this opportunity to say thank you to Pal, aka the Padalorian, for being our guest of honor on this I'm sorry to say this, over 2 hours of excellent stuff. Let's just put it that way. Excellent things for you to listen to or watch if you go back and watch the replay. Pal, we're going to have you back here very, very soon. We're going to have you back here in the hot seat. We're going to have you here in the co-pilot seat, whatever it is. We're going to chat it up again about Star Wars. We're going to chat it up again about certain properties that, all that kind of stuff. By the way, Abby says this was so much fun. I'm so grateful for all the positivity that you bring to this community, pal. Look at that.
Thank you so much for hanging out, Abby. I appreciate that.
I mean, I hope I did. I hope I added to this fun here, Abby. I mean, I'm just the host and producer of the show, but but she's giving you all the kudos.
Such a great host, Ryan, and thank you so much for driving this conversation that transcended all outside of Star Wars. I just think that this was so fun to have this time with you.
Oh, no worries. Well, you're more than happy. We're more than happy to have you back anytime. Let's just put it that way.
Sure.
But thank you for being with us. It's great to see you. Don't worry, folks. We have plenty more programming coming to you here live in the next many weeks and months of 2025. Lots of things coming your way. But if you want to know more about PAL/the Padalorian, where can they follow you on social media, Master Jedi?
Yeah. So you can follow me anywhere on socials at the Padalorian. I'm more active on Instagram right now. So if you want to find me there, it's at the Padalorian. And I'm just so grateful for anyone who wants to tag along in my journey as I document my experiences of anything and everything Star Wars.
Yay. Well, thanks for being with us. Stick around. Don't go anywhere, pal. Grab a cup of coffee. Have something to drink, have something to eat there in our green room. I'm going to be talking to you here momentarily. My name is Ryan of And I Quote Channel. Follow me across all forms of social media, simply at And I Quote Channel. All our shows are on our YouTube channel. We got playlists for every single one of your favorite fandoms. So check them out. It's all there, and it's free. You don't have to pay a dime for it. Let's just put it that way. And lots of things coming your way very soon. And I Quotes on Saturdays, 12 p.m. Eastern. Movie watch longs are on Friday, 7 p.m. EST. And then the Meaning of Fandom is coming back on Friday, May the 2nd, just 2 days shy of May the 4th here with you. And pal, if you're free on Friday, May the 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you're invited to have a seat at the table and discuss one of your favorite fandoms. If you want to discuss more Star Wars, hey, more power to you. You got another fandom that you didn't get a chance to discuss with us before that you want to dive into on the next episode of the Meaning of Fandom? Let me know. Let us know in the green room when we get back there at the conclusion of this broadcast. But also, we're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Once we do, we're going through a live stream that will include a giveaway, special giveaways that you, the person who's watching or listening to this broadcast, are going to be eligible to win. We also have merch. That's right. Merchandising. We have shirts, we have hoodies, we have stickers that you can add to your water bottles, or we also have coffee mugs that are available to you, bed sheets, throw pillows, maybe it's a fluffy, maybe a plushie or something like that. I don't know, pal, you're gonna have to look at the website for me. But still, it's all there, and it's on sale, by the way. It's on sale, so treat yourself, as they say on Parks and Rec. Anyone ever see Parks and Rec? It's only been around for a while. If you're into sci-fi, we have a good friend of ours. Adina Mignona is an indie sci-fi author, and she has a kid-friendly series known as the Robot Galaxy series, books 1 through 4. So if you got a youngling and you want to introduce them to sci-fi, saving the galaxy one glitchy robot at a time. So if you're into stuff like WALL-E and Star Wars, this is the Robot Galaxy series you're going to want to check out between you and perhaps even your younglings, if you know what I'm saying. Go to adinamignona.com, adinam.com, I think is another way to get to it. If you want more hard sci-fi meets AI intrigue, Lunar Logic, once again written by our good friend Adina Mignona, is available on her website. It's also available on Amazon, Kobo, and Barnes & Noble, wherever you buy books. All that stuff. Yeah, sci-fi. It's everywhere. We can't escape it. It's just everywhere. I mean, look at these 2 books here. You see this? Yeah, we aim to please. It happens. But but once again, thank you who are watching and listening for being here. We cannot do this without you. Do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when the videos go up or they go live. Remember, life is better when supporting indie creators from all over the world. And all we got to do is take a look. It's in a book. And above all else, the Force will be with you always. Take a look.
Author Cindy Kep is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Koepp at CKOEPP.com today.
There's so many. Has anyone been to them all?
Not likely.
I want to be the first one to see them all.
Truly wonderful the mind of a child is.
Come on. When you find people who need your help, you help them. No matter what.
Good luck.
We have hope. Hope that things can get better. And they will.
Stand up together. Because that's when we're strongest. As one.
You won't be going alone. You'll have a friend with you.
No. I'll have a Jedi with me.
You might wanna buckle up, baby.
Rise
in the Force.
Take care of us, little one.
It'll take care of you. We had each other. That's how we won.
Force is strong in my family.
Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
What is it they've sent us?
Hope.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.